guys! Today we'll be recapping a story, The Villainess is Shy in Receiving Love. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy. It all begins when Melody's mother returns home carrying not only stolen items from a wrecked carriage, but also the child of the said accident. Melody can actually remember her past life in which she was disregarded by everyone around her, and drives her to seek comfort in novels. She fell in love with a novel that ends happily, but the heroine's tragic childhood life really resonates with her. The novel follows a 5-year-old female lead who, after losing her mother in a carriage accident, was abducted by a slave trader and abused by the trader's daughter until being rescued by her father, the Duke. One day, when reading a newspaper article about a missing Duke's daughter, she comes to the startling realization that she is actually living the first chapter of her favorite book. The name of the area, the noble's name, and her name are all the same as in the novel. She is the daughter of the slave trader who was punished by the Duke. She tries to convince her mother to stop her evil business, but she fails and must resort to Plan B, which is to form a strong relationship with the female lead in order to escape severe punishment in the future. Her plan, however, is easier said than done because her mother is opposed to treating the little girl nicely, while Loretta, our cute little blonde girl, is still terrified of her. To start off, Melody tries to offer Loretta soup, which she sneakily eats, and she also offers her bed since she's been sleeping on a tough couch. Loretta still appears terrified, but she takes this chance to sleep comfortably. Melody finds Loretta crying and tries to soothe her, but Loretta flinches, which Melody understands because right now, Loretta only sees Melody as a bad person. The next day, she sees that Loretta is sitting and not trying to avoid her. This is a good sign that Loretta is beginning to feel comfortable in her presence, and as she's just about to celebrate, her nasty mother yells, so she leaves Loretta with a cup of hot milk to drink before going to her mother. It rains heavily that night after Melody's busy day, and Loretta, who's been waiting for her, quickly gives her a hug. She does not say anything after that and starts burrowing herself under Melody's blanket. And when Melody opens the window to try and comfort her, the chilly air only makes Loretta burst into tears. She instantly shuts the window, realizing the rain must have been traumatic for Loretta because it rained on the day her mother kidnapped her from the crashed carriage. She worries about her, and so she opens up, telling baby Loretta that she too is afraid of the thunder and convincing her that covering your ears will help keep the sounds away. She then assists her in covering her ears, and that kind gesture puts Loretta at ease. But let's be honest, hands alone won't keep the noise away, lol. The two decide to sleep together while still covering Loretta's ears. Melody promises her that she will be happy soon and that she does not need to worry. Cuties. Meanwhile, the Duke is set to go where his long-lost daughter is said to be found. Melody and Loretta have become closer since that night, and today, Loretta proudly shows Melody her drawing, which she enjoys. The two are having fun, and Melody uses the opportunity to bring up the word mother while the two are playing house, and is surprised when Loretta doesn't react to it. She worries that Loretta has lost her memories, but her focus is diverted when Loretta curiously asks about a picture of a house she's been seeing in a newspaper, to which she replies that she too will return to a lovely house of her own. Loretta begins to throw tantrums after learning that the two of them would be separated, and she despises the idea of them living apart while she hugs Melody tightly. After some days, Melody's mother comes home drunk, just as Melody is preparing soup for our baby Loretta. Her mother happily shares that someone is willing to pay a huge sum of money to buy Loretta, but her daughter just gives her a disappointed look. And when Melody talks back, her mother's temper flares and she pushes her, causing the hot soup to fall on her leg and burn the side of it. Loretta rushes to help her, but she slips and scrapes her knees. Her mother immediately tells her to get to a doctor, not out of concern, but because she needs to sell her in good condition. Melody rushes through the rain, unable to think clearly, believing the Duke will surely punish her harshly for hurting Loretta. She then begins blaming herself, claiming that if the two of them had not become close, this would not have happened. She stumbles, but she's stronger than we thought and won't allow her emotions to get the best of her now as she keeps racing to Merlin's house. She is shivering and grimy when she arrives at Mrs. Merlin's house. Thankfully, the doctor seems to know her and immediately treats her wound. Merlin can't believe a mother can do such a thing to her own daughter, but Melody has no time for this and pleads with the doctor to go back with her to help Loretta. The doctor instructs her to stay while she prepares to go alone, but Melody gets up, telling her worriedly that Loretta is scared of the rain and will surely look for her. So they ride a horse together, but when they get close to her house, they see that a noble's carriage and a knight's wagon are already there. She then recalls that this is probably the night when Loretta goes back home, while Merlin plans to retreat as well with Melody. Melody is surprised by the doctor's decision since helping her escape would cause her future problems. But the doctor points out that the issue is her mother's and she has no business getting involved. She watches as Loretta is escorted away, grateful that she will soon return to her own happy life. But then her memories of our adorable little Loretta flood back, and she realizes that she isn't quite ready to let go of her just yet. Soon after, they witness her mother being arrested, signaling that they too should go back before anyone sees them. Merlin is a wonderful lady who treats Melody as if she were her own daughter. And since her son Isaiah has gone out to be a knight, she even offers to let her live with her to study medicine. Melody appreciates her care very much, but she decides to go to her house first to ponder over the offer more. When she arrives, the house is a disaster, and Loretta's drawing shakes her into tears because she hasn't had a chance to say goodbye. But as we all know, Loretta will not leave Melody behind, and so she comes back running for her. Loretta sounds like a heroine on her way to save her, calling Melody a baby and telling her to stop weeping while she herself is crying. Such a cutie. Just then, Loretta's father, Wayne Baldwin, walks in and offers her water. She right away kneels, apologizing, and is surprised to learn that only her mother would be punished and that she will be transported to a nursery where she can be accommodated. Since she helped his daughter, the Duke has shown her mercy, but Loretta can tell from their conversation that they will now be living apart. Our tiny bundle of joy really loves Melody, and Melody admits she feels the same way. Loretta then tells her father, whom she calls Master, that she wants to bring Melody with her, which the Duke couldn't refuse. After seeing how Melody can make his daughter feel at ease, he agrees and asks Melody if she wants to come along. Melody now has two options. She can return to Merlin and pursue medicine, or she can help Loretta, knowing the difficulties she would face. She returns to Merlin to say goodbye, and while Merlin packs her some stuff, she warns her of the harshness of living in the capital. Melody is well aware of this, so Merlin simply offers her best wishes and assures her that she is always welcome back at her place whenever she feels the need. The mother Melody deserves. Melody leaves with a grateful heart and soon finds Loretta patiently waiting for her. Inside the carriage, Melody wakes up with Loretta sleeping on her lap while the Duke observes them. She goes on by informing the Duke that Loretta's current fear of rain and memory lapses indicate that she appears traumatized from the incident. He intends to give his daughter enough time to heal and admits that he is still unsure if she is his daughter. Although Melody can confidently say that, aside from their identical looks, Loretta shines just like him, which surprises him to hear from a child. The Duke receives a directive to report back to the Emperor as they are traveling, so the two must arrive at the mansion on their own and meet Higgins, the butler, and his wife, the housekeeper. The butler escorts Loretta, leaving Melody alone with Madam Higgins, who appears to be a problem. She prepares Melody a bath, but the water is too hot for her, so she tries to add more cold water to the bathtub on her own without asking for help. However, Madam Higgins reprimands her, leaving Melody visibly terrified. The madam pours more cold water, not letting her lift a finger. And while Melody enjoys the warm bath, she notices Melody's bruises and angrily adds medicines to her body. Melody shyly thanks Madam Higgins, but she prefers to be called Grandma. Okay, I was wrong. She's cranky, but actually soft. She's a tsundere granny. That night, our baby Loretta praises Melody's adorable pajamas, and the two of them chat when Loretta begins to feel sleepy and refuses to return to her own room. Thankfully, Granny Higgins gives permission for them to sleep together, and Melody wakes up to a boy describing Loretta negatively. She recognizes the young boy as Loretta's second brother, Ronnie Baldwin, and when he tries to wake his sister up, Melody quickly grabs his wrist, shushing him. He's surprised by Melody's sudden actions, which makes him overheat and fall. She quickly lends her hand, but he just thinks she's one of those people who lies just to get in their mansion and angrily demands she go back and walks away. That did not surprise Melody at all. She already knew, but thought it would take days before they became enemies. A few days later, the Duke finally arrives home and gets greeted by a hyped-up cutie Loretta, who wishes to be rich like him in the future. It's just a sweet moment between a father and daughter when the maids interrupt, since Loretta has just ran away from them and is not yet fully dressed for the day. After entering the mansion, the Duke orders Higgins to get rid of any sharp objects in the house, since he notices how Loretta still enjoys running around. The next day, Loretta is eating snacks when the mean-looking maid, Alta, asks her if she really is the Duke's daughter. Loretta doesn't seem to be bothered by this and tells Alta that Melody has told her that she is the Duke's daughter and doesn't care what anyone else says. The maid tells her that only the temple's priest can decide if she's really the Duke's daughter, so she should be good. She also warns her that Melody will be locked up for lying if she doesn't get approval, which is when Loretta starts to worry. That night, Loretta asks for advice on how to behave well around the Duke. Melody assures her that simply breathing is enough, but Loretta wonders if that will be enough to win the Duke's favor. Loretta shares her worries about what Alta told her in the garden. The idea that they might take Melody away scares her a lot, and she becomes concerned if her father is really nice. Melody feels he is because he allows her to be with Loretta, and she learns that it was the Duke who ordered the glass decorations to be removed so they don't accidentally hurt themselves. Thus, she likes the Duke, making Loretta like him as well. Looks like the Duke hears the children talking about him, which makes him flutter. He then tells Higgins to give the kids gifts that are, blue. So random, but I love that he overheard them. The next day, Loretta and Melody are surprised to receive an expensive blue hat as a gift from the Duke. Loretta is so excited running with the hat on, while Melody is unsure if she deserves the gift and wants to personally thank the Duke. To make her feel at ease, Mr. Higgins assures her that he will relay her message to the Duke when he returns, and adds that the Duke will be pleased to see her using the gift he gave her. She gives it a try, and it suits her really well. Loretta rushes to the maid Alta, who, on the way, questions the little girl about the Duke's sudden friendliness and assumes it's because Loretta took her advice. Alta continues to bully her, which prompts Loretta to run away and go to Mrs. Higgins, who looks really scary right now. Our sly little Loretta repeats everything Alta says to her, making her shiver in terror. Alta tries to cover it up, claiming the lady is still young, so she is bound to say things incorrectly, not knowing Loretta is wise enough to remember everything she has said. This isn't something a child would make up, so the granny believes it and tears Alta's uniform with her badge. Better if she could rip her hair as well. Kidding. Anyway, she is now on her knees, admitting her mistake. Then she blames Loretta for her fate? This nasty maid tries to slap a 5-year-old kid, but luckily Melody is there to protect Loretta. That afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Higgins express their displeasure with Alta's actions and informs Melody and Loretta that the maid has already been fired. Loretta is eager to devour the carrot cake in front of her, and Melody invites all of them to join them in eating the cake, turning tea time into a tea party. The butler reports back to the Duke about what happened and makes sure the maid will not be able to get another job anywhere. Melody knocks on his office and hasn't forgotten to thank the Duke for the hat before the day ends. She shares how much fun Loretta had and how it would have been lovely if he was there as well. But the Duke reacts in a cold, unintentional way that he doesn't like tea time, scaring Melody. But before she leaves, she expresses how much she likes her hat, which surprises the Duke. Melody decides to assist Mrs. Higgins in the kitchen, telling her that she enjoys doing something, and Granny gives her some peanuts she peeled, and warns her to stay away from the kitchen for a week because they would be busy cooking delicacies for the 3 elders. As she walks to her room, she is surprised by the young master Ronnie. He's grumpier than ever and refuses the peanuts she offers, but then warns her to keep an eye out for them since the visitors, the elders, don't like her and Loretta and may try to kick them both out of the mansion. She thanks him for being concerned about Loretta, but he blushes and denies it. So she wonders if he's worried about her instead, making him overheat again. LOL. He walks out and calls her ugly. We see you, little Ronnie. During the elders and the Duke's meeting, they express concerns about Melody being a slave's daughter and question the Duke's decision to bring her to the mansion. The Duke clarifies that he has entrusted the child with a task, to which they all object, claiming the Baldwin family cannot hire a criminal child. He corrects them, saying that she is neither a slave or an employee, but rather a guest at his pleasure. The elders continue to insist that no title, no royal blood can enter their family, and they even use the previous Duke's name. The Duke has had enough with their games and warns them that he has the last say in how his visitors are treated. But their discussion is cut short when he receives a call from the shrine and immediately leaves. While Melody and Loretta are enjoying their meal, the maids are thrilled to present them the gifts they received from the Duke, and when they open it, they are amazed to find 2 beautiful green ribbons. The maids place them in their hair, which they both enjoy. Later that evening, Loretta asks Melody whether she notices the terrifying elders whispering while watching them during dinner. She then comes up with an idea and asks Loretta to get her pillow because they need to go to the safest place in the mansion. The Duke worries about their safety at the time when he hears someone outside his door and is astonished to see the girls begging if he can help them. Melody says she wants him to keep Loretta safe and goes on to say that the young master Ronnie warns her to be careful, and she thinks that the Duke is the only one who could be trusted in the house because he is Loretta's father. He promises her that he would keep them safe. And she feels relieved, thanking the Duke, and prepares to leave the room when Loretta asks where she is going and explains that she should return to her room and she should stay at the Duke's side. Loretta insists for her to stay because the bed is big enough for them to sleep together, and when she asks the Duke's approval, he agrees to her right away. Loretta shows the Duke his spot on the bed while Melody thanks him for granting her request and expresses her gratitude for the ribbon with the Duke's color on it. He lets her sleep, telling her it's not time for children to stay awake, and she bids him goodnight. The next day, Loretta and the Duke prepare to travel to the shrine while Melody says goodbye. All the elders glare at her in disgust, but she ignores them. She's happy knowing the Duke is Loretta's biological father, and all will be revealed soon. She's thinking that after the wonderful news will be announced, there might be an all-night celebration, and the Duke's sons, Claude, who is at the academy, and Jeremiah, who is at the magic tower, would go to the Duke's residence to meet their long-lost sister. She is determined to assist Loretta to avoid danger, but when somebody knocks on her door, she opens it eagerly, expecting to see the butler, only to find the elders waiting for her. She is shocked to see the man before her and recognizes him as one of the elders. He confirms to her that Loretta is indeed the Duke's biological daughter, and she expresses her delight at the news with a broad grin. But the elder changes his reaction and tells her she can now receive her pay and leave the mansion. Surprised by what he says, she explains to him that she doesn't ask for any financial assistance to care for Loretta and only wants to stay by her side. He mocks her and becomes so rude that he grabs the ribbon in her hair. Melody tries to get her ribbon back from the nasty old man as he lies and says that the Duke has already told everyone that she is the daughter of a slave trader. She doesn't believe him and refuses to accept the money he tries to offer. He finds that she really has no intention to leave, so he grabs her hand and drags her outside, where the carriage awaits to take her to her mother's prison and move her out of the mansion. She feels hopeless and begins to panic when she thinks about reuniting with her mother. Granny thankfully arrives just in time to stop him and console Melody, who breaks into tears. Poor baby! Granny confronts him, but he gives her a hard slap that knocks her down. He bullies kids and now abuses a grandma? Then a guy quickly takes Melody from behind and drags her to the carriage. The maid Patty hears Melody screaming, but she is surprised to find Mrs. Higgins on the ground. Granny has no time to explain, and with a weary voice tells Patty that they must find the Duke now since the elder has taken Melody away. Inside the central prison, the elder presents Melody to her mother and advises her to take the compensation offered to her, leave the capital with her mother, and avoid the Duke at all costs. When Melody's mother hears compensation, she rushes over to see Melody, not because she misses her or anything, but to confirm if she has the money to get her out of jail. While all of this is happening, Loretta receives confirmation from the priest that she is the Duke's daughter, and this is merely a formality. Loretta can't wait for it to be over so she can go meet Melody, but when they get home, the elders tell the Duke that Melody excitedly left after taking the money, which the Duke finds strange. They exaggerate their stories, but the Duke chooses to investigate on his own, making the elders begin to get concerned and try to explain that Melody should be with her mother by now. As people in power, the Duke reminds them that it's against the law to pay money to get a criminal out of jail. But they act all loving, saying they are simply thanking Melody for saving Loretta. They even say that if Loretta makes new friends, she will definitely forget Melody, which Loretta strongly rejects. Just soon after, a visibly distressed Mrs. Higgins enters, eager to fill the Duke in on what has happened in his absence. The elder just won't shut up and keeps rubbing in Melody's face that she's really unfit for the mansion. Her mother doesn't care at all and just needs the money. When she finds that Melody has dropped it in front of the mansion, she goes crazy and thinks she purposely hid it. The guard refuses to release her mother without payment, so the elder decides to just leave Melody there to rot as well. Melody's mother grabs her and starts blaming her while Melody stares blankly at her. She then gets thrown to a cell when suddenly the Duke appears to save her. The jail guard trembles after seeing the Duke, while Granny quickly removes Melody's handcuffs and yells at the elder. She can't believe he can treat such a precious child so cruelly, but Melody is just another crook in his eyes, and he's blinded by his own social rank. You're too old to be bullying kids. The Duke let the old man go while he orders Mrs. Higgins to let Melody stay for a while, which confuses her, but she complies and leaves. He starts to talk to Melody by apologizing. Then he hands her a bag of gold coins that she dropped in the mansion. Her mother overhears it and convinces her to take it so they can have a comfortable life together. Lies! Melody knows that the Duke is giving her the freedom to decide right now, but she is concerned that she may cause problems for the Duke's family in the future. But the Duke assures her that it will be all right. Besides, Loretta will surely cry without her, and Mr. Higgins and his wife will be sad, and he will be unhappy as well. Her happy thoughts quickly vanish when her mother creeps in to see what's in the bag. She uses words that a child wants to hear from a mother, but she can't hide her desire for the money. So when she asks for it, Melody tosses the bag, spilling the coins all over the floor, and she happily grabs each coin. Melody can't stand seeing her mother acting like a money addict, so she leaves as a guard begins to confiscate her mother's gold coins. Even the Duke is taken aback by how insane Melody's mother is. Loretta races for her as soon as they arrive at the mansion, and they hug. While the maid works on her injuries, Loretta enters her room and attempts to blow away her pain. Look at that! Sailor Loretta to the rescue! Melody wonders why she likes her, but she has no idea, so she gives her a big embrace and tells her she just truly likes her. Meanwhile, the Duke receives a letter and orders the cleaning of his eldest son's room in preparation for his return. Patty notices Loretta isn't in her usual mood and asks her many questions to find out what's bothering her. She reassures her that she can tell her anything and will keep it a secret. The little girl then confides in Patty what her brother tells her. Loretta and Melody are not family. She wants to live with Melody forever, which she thinks is now impossible, and it bothers her a lot. Our cute baby even wishes her father had also given birth to Melody to complete her family. Patty has a plan for Melody to become a member of their family, which makes Loretta happy, but she can't tell her. Patty tells her coworker about her plan, but her colleague dismisses it as ridiculous because Melody can't possibly marry the Duke's son. As the two continue talking about the marriage, a cute, cheeky Loretta overhears it all and believes marriage is the solution. She thanks Patty and runs away, leaving Patty, whose soul has already left her body. Meanwhile, Melody informs Grandma of the development of her bruises, stating that she doesn't mind having scars because she already has a lot in her body, and that makes Granny furious. She believes that Melody has experienced many hardships at a young age and wants to take care of her. Well, in her own way. She informs Melody that the Duke's eldest son is returning home, and she assigns her to serve the young master's tea every day. This way, she will learn etiquette by observing the young master. Melody doubts her abilities at first, but decides to give it a try, which pleases Grandma, who tells her not to displease the young master. Melody rushes to hug and thank her, as she knows this is how she shows she cares. Mr. Higgins greets the Duke's eldest son the following morning, telling him that his father is in the Imperial Palace, and that they have a guest whom he thinks he will like. Melody is shocked to see the Duke's eldest son, Claude, already playing in the garden with Loretta, as she thought he'll arrive in the afternoon. While watching them in the yard, she recalls from the novel that Claude Baldwin is the most handsome young man in the capital, with exceptional qualities, who adores Loretta, making him the ideal brother. Plus, Claude was her favorite character in the story. After both Claude and Melody introduce themselves, she explains that she is delivering Loretta's hat. Loretta rushes up to her, mustering all her confidence to ask her a question. She begins by confirming if Melody likes her, and when she tells her she does, she hopes to marry Melody while giving her a flower, promising to make her happy, surprising both her and Claude in the process. She then hugs Loretta and promises to make her even happier. Cuties. While having fun, Melody notices Claude just watching them and recalls that he is jealous of people whom Loretta loved. A siskon. Melody begins to give the young master his tea that afternoon, but as she stands in front of his door, she realizes she's nervous and isn't sure what to do. So she knocks. As she waits for him, she recalls the garden incident and consoles herself by believing that she did nothing wrong. Loretta merely wants to play with her, so he should not see her as an enemy. When Claude opens the door, he tells her he heard she likes to learn the etiquette of the capital and asks if it's because she wants to be with Loretta. She confirms and says she'll do whatever it takes to stay with Loretta forever. After listening to what she has to say, he shuts the door and leaves her wondering if she had offended him again. From that day on, she tries to approach him, but she is always turned down. After learning that the family hates liars, she apologizes for lying to Claude and admits that she has no desire to learn the nobles' etiquette and lacks confidence because she's just a nobody. Claude thanks her for opening up and says there's nothing to apologize for, which confuses our girl because she has always assumed he's angry. But just as she realizes this, Claude ends their conversation and shuts his door. The next day, as she delivers his tea, she is still unsure if she has settled any issues with the young master. But it seems like she's safe for the day since Claude isn't home. She is supposed to simply leave a cup of hot tea and return the teapot to the kitchen. But when Claude opens the door, he frightens her into dropping the pot. He hurriedly covers Melody's face to protect it from the hot water and gets his hands burned instead. Melody starts to freak out, but Claude tries to calm her down, allowing her to sit on his couch and instructing her to close her eyes and ears while counting. And the first thing she notices after she finishes counting is Claude smiling. She feels much better and apologizes, while Claude does the same, saying he wanted to return earlier since he knew she'd be coming. But as far as Melody knows, he doesn't want to see her, making him feel sorry and admitting he's actually jealous of how close she is with Loretta. And casually adds that once a Baldwin falls in love, they can't control themselves, which Melody interprets as his love for his little sister. He's low-key confessing. He goes along with her naivety and changes the subject, giving her advice to act proudly in any situation. Now that she seems better, Claude gets closer to her, letting her know he'll bully her a little, which she refuses, but he uses his hurting hand as an excuse and orders her to visit him every afternoon. It's been days since she began sitting at Claude's table, doing some transcribing for him as Claude innocently supervises her and enjoys his tea. She's really having fun, but thinks Claude is too mean for not telling her what she's transcribing for. Then, she bumps into one of the nobles who doesn't like her and believes he is part of the upcoming incident she read in her novel. As she continues thinking, the maid escorts her to the Duke's office and is surprised when the Duke gives her a new green ribbon. She is still puzzled and wonders if the old man must have returned it, but that doesn't seem to be the case, so she happily thanks the Duke for his present. Then he sees some ink marks on her sleeve, so Melody quickly says she's sorry and explains that she's been writing. The Duke can see from her reaction how severely she has been treated in the past, turning her into a child who's quick to apologize for anything. He pats her on the head, acknowledging her hard work, but anticipates another apology from her. However, this time, he receives a thank you, making him smile. Progress. He hands her the ribbon and says she will need it so anyone will know she has the Duke's favor. Later that night, she goes to monitor Loretta's dressing room since she knows someone will break in and destroy her belongings, which will cause heartbreak for the baby. Instead, Claude surprises her and wonders what she's doing. She's able to come up with a believable explanation, saying she heard some officials planning something evil. But this just makes him worry more and that she should have reported this to the adults, by which he means him. He's only 15 years old, guys. He offers her a hot milk while reassuring her they will be patrolling the area and increasing the guards, relieving her of all her worries and realizing he's quite mature for his age. When she gets back to her room, she finds that all of the precious presents she got are broken. She's rewriting the story without realizing it. Instead of going after Loretta, they turn their anger on her. She looks very sad, but she chooses not to be upset, thankful Loretta didn't get hurt. The vassals of the elders are set to go the next day, but they refuse to leave quietly and have the audacity to warn the Duke that the others would mock the Duke's family for allowing someone of no standing to stay in his house. The Duke gives a threatening look and is willing to meet anyone who makes fun of his family when Melody comes out wearing the broken ribbon and walks with her head held high. She's furious and recalls Claude's instruction to remain calm and not panic, infuriating the nobles with her noble-like attitude. The Duke is ready to make them shut up until Melody speaks up for herself. She admits that her mother is a criminal and that she is simply receiving favor from the Duke while holding her beloved ribbon. And the nobles take advantage to use the ribbon against her, arguing she should take care of everything she receives. She then alerts everyone that someone, directly pointing to him, stormed into her room and rips the mentioned ribbon. The Duke quickly checks if she's hurt and starts to get really angry until Melody stops him. She does think it's childish of them to hold a grudge against a child, but she doesn't wish to punish them, so the Duke kicks him out of his mansion instead. Later, Granny Higgins repairs her ribbon while ranting about the lunatics and promises Melody that she'll repair her hat as well, making her really happy. However, when she gets back to her room, she sobs uncontrollably for failing to take care of her priceless items, until she hears Claude and Loretta outside her room. She really needs her comfort, so she quickly opens her door, only to find Claude alone. It's a lie, so she shuts her door and cries again while he apologizes, explaining that Loretta didn't want to comfort her and he just came first since he's jealous. Not the way Melody thinks, but because he wants to have her all to himself for a while. He gives her a handkerchief, and after she calms down, he invites her to see Loretta. She isn't sure, but she follows him anyway, and when she gets there, she finds that the path doesn't lead to Loretta's room, but to the library. Claude leads her to a table and instructs her to write her name on the book she recognizes. It's the notebook she uses to keep the records he asks for, and she assumes he'll give it to her. Nope. This cunning man gets the book from her, saying it's filled with conversation magic, and his plan is even better. He shows her their shelves full of past records and believes they will be helpful for people in the future. He asks Melody to add hers to the shelf with the exception that if someone ever cites it, it will be credited to notes compiled by Melody of the Baldwin family. She is surprised since she isn't part of their family, but Claude finds nothing wrong with it and even teases her that she can just marry someone in the family, making her really flustered. He goofs around, acting all innocent, saying he's talking about Loretta, who wants to marry her. But she clarifies that she can't marry a Duke family member, but wants to stay with baby Loretta forever. And the thought that she won't leave anytime soon makes him very happy. So the two of them go to Loretta's room. Cutie Loretta quickly hugs Melody and asks if she likes the present her brother gave her. She appears to have no idea until she realizes that Claude's gift is actually the notebook that he has added to the bookshelf and protected with his magic. Her joy has spread to Loretta, and Claude is beaming with pride in the background. Meanwhile, the Duke and Mr. Higgins discuss Melody's need for a stable position. The Duke can't just ask anyone since they will use Melody to manipulate him, and he can't adopt her since Ronnie strongly objects to the idea. We know why, LOL. Melody is in a tough spot right now because her mother's execution date has been set, and her mother is using her last request to make Melody stay with her until she dies. Trying to leave a trauma to her daughter till the end. Gosh. The next day, he discusses it with Melody and reminds her that she can always decline the request. She knows that her mother has never worried about her and just wants to use her to make herself feel better. Her mother has always been a very selfish person and always will be, but this time, she doesn't want to get hurt anymore. The Duke is grateful that she chose not to comply, saving herself from getting hurt. Yes, just a flowery path ahead for our girl, please. He plans to sign the document denying the request, but Melody convinces him to let her do it on her own so she can finally be free of her mother's control. The Duke agrees and lets Claude escort her to the prison. On the carriage, she's still new with wearing gloves, and the two start discussing how uncomfortable gloves are, and Claude even lends her his. She wonders how they were only 4 years apart, but he acts so mature, and even his hands are so big. She doesn't have to worry since she'll grow up soon, and he asks when her birthday is. She actually doesn't know her birthday, but she chooses spring, when yellow flowers bloom. The awkwardness gets cut off when they arrive at the prison and a knight she knows shows up. It's Isaiah. Seeing her childhood friend brings back memories of Isaiah defending her from bullies. They took her shoe once, and Isaiah caught the bully for her so she could get her payback. But she's just so nice that she let the bully go. He scolds her for being so kind and swears to protect her ever since. And that night, she will never forget when Isaiah returns her missing shoe. He's sweet. They talk for a long time about how much they miss each other, and Claude notices how close they are and requests that the chief knight let Isaiah come along with them. So Claude calls Melody to board the carriage with Isaiah, but he later finds Isaiah's friendliness to Melody impolite. Inside the room, Isaiah is overwhelmed by the chocolates in front of him and is unable to disguise his emotions. He even asks Claude if he could bring some for the other nights, while Melody feels happy that he has never changed and that he always shares what he has with his friends. Melody is like family to him, and so he kneels before Claude, formally thanking him for taking care of Melody, until Melody recalls something important, rolls a book, and hits Isaiah. Melody remembers Mrs. Merlin, Isaiah's mother, telling her to slap her son in the head if she ever sees him. She smacks him and orders him to write a letter to his mother. He could never write a letter to his mother since he believes she regards him as a disgrace for not pursuing medicine. He knows his mother will be upset if she learns that he's the knight's escort, while Melody yells back, confirming that his mother is already disappointed because he hasn't contacted her. After hearing this, he agrees to write his mother a letter but has no idea how. He asks Melody if his one-sentence letter will do, but she has never written a letter either. They only gaze at Claude, the only one of them who appears to be experienced. On their way home, she apologizes to Claude for getting so caught up in conversing with Isaiah that she forgot the central prison office was closing, preventing them from doing what they had planned to do there. But he reassures her they have plenty of time to do it. He also agreed to teach Isaiah, but he didn't want the vulgar boy around Loretta, making her realize he hates Isaiah. Melody is surprised to see Isaiah the next morning at the Duke's mansion. She asks why, and he says that the young master promised to teach him how to write letters. However, she is concerned because Claude has informed her that he will be busy today, so the scheduled tutorial will have to be postponed. Well, Isaiah is even happier to hear the news, and since it's his day off, he tells her they may play together until the evening. During their conversation, Claude enters her room looking so tired, quickly checks if Loretta is with them, and is pleased to find she is not there. Melody assured the worried young master that Isaiah will not harm anyone and that he's trustworthy. Just then, Mr. Higgins informs them that Loretta wants to meet Melody's guest, and they both shout no, causing Loretta to cry. Claude, the siscon, is quick to comfort his little sister to stop her from crying. They all ended up staying in one room, with Isaiah improving his writing abilities, Loretta enjoying drawing, and Melody noticing that Isaiah is a fast learner, proving that he is the smartest kid in their village. Claude hands her a piece of paper and urges her to write as well, but she has no idea who she should send her letter to. He suggests and whispers to her that she can send the person who recently helped her and close to her. She misinterprets his signals and decides to write Loretta a letter. Claude, just tell her you want a letter. Loretta is so happy to let Melody know that she is also writing her a letter, and she proudly shows her paper. Melody embraces Loretta while telling her that she likes her so much, and she finishes her letter as well. Before Isaiah goes home, Melody warns him to write his mother at least once a week, and that the young master has helped so much that he should also try his best. He will, but he wants her to promise that she'll never see her mother again because she's too kind-hearted and will just hurt herself. He admits that when he saw her at the prison entrance, he was worried that she would meet her mother, but relieved that she did not. Isaiah knows her well and fears that she will change her mind, so he encourages her that it's okay to ignore the last request because it will be the best revenge. She agrees, informing him that she has already decided not to suffer anymore. Melody and Claude are now delivering the letter to their mailman, and she's happy to know Mrs. Merlin will receive her letter in just a week. Before leaving, the mailman asks Claude where to deliver his birthday gifts this year, and he requests that he deliver them to the academy. Melody thinks his birthday is just around the corner, but Claude explains that it's just a pre-check to make sure there are enough carriages for the gifts. The mailman assures her that she will also receive many gifts on her birthday as she is a special guest of the Duke. The mailman asks Melody when her birthday is, and since she doesn't know, she simply says it's in spring. Just spring. The mailman realizes that he may have asked the wrong question, so he breaks the tension by offering to deliver her birthday gifts on any spring day, and he bids them goodbye. Melody tries to cheer herself up by telling herself that her birthday could be on any day in the spring, but she knows deep down that she's lonely. And as if he could read her mind, he suggests asking her mother because he notices how curious she is to know about her birthday. A guy who pays attention. Love it. His encouragement is making her waver. Melody is surprised when Mr. Higgins informs her that she is a visitor, the mailman, who has come to apologize for hurting her feelings the last time they discussed birthdays. He suggests that she choose a date she likes as her birthday, so her name will be attached to a beautiful day and she will receive many congratulatory letters or gifts from her loved ones. He adds that everyone has the right to enjoy something on their special day. Hearing all his words makes Melody consider Claude's suggestions for meeting her mother. While she is approaching the capital's prison, her thoughts are filled with Isaiah's words, but she is now determined to meet her mother to fill the emptiness she feels inside. Claude escorts her, as he feels responsible for making her change her decision to see her mother. He offers to accompany her inside to protect her in case trouble occurs, but she insists on talking to her mother alone, so he opts to wait for her inside the carriage. Claude spots a guy following Melody's way as she walks in with the knight. She walks silently, observing the structures of the building, and realizes the place is the prison for nobles, thinking her mother is still blessed to be there with the Duke's grace. Suddenly, someone grabs her, and it's Isaiah, who is trying to run fast while holding her wrist tightly, certain that she is there because of the Duke's orders, and all the while believing that the nobles forced Melody to visit her mother. Just then, Melody pulls her hands away from him and says that she chose to be there. He can't believe what she is saying and reminds her of her past, yelling in rage that he would not allow it, that he would not let her be hurt again. Just then, Claude enters and orders him to let go of Melody. Can't blame him. He just wants to protect our girl. Seeing Claude makes Isaiah more enraged. He blames him for bringing Melody there and asks why they lack compassion. Melody observes his reactions and concludes that he is angry with her simply because he wants to protect her. She explains that the Duke actually doesn't want her to be there, and it's her free will to see her mother. Hearing this, Isaiah loses his temper once more, and his voice starts to tremble. He really wants her to let go of her evil mother and live a happy life. She holds his hands, trying to calm him down, and informs him that she has something to ask her mother. It doesn't mean that seeing her mother makes her forget the past. She explains that she's already decided to live for herself, and smilingly tells him she's really fine now. When she was bullied in the past, she told him the same thing, so he doesn't believe what she's saying. The young master commands the knights to take Isaiah, and this time, he quietly complies. Melody's knight escort instantly apologizes and brings her to her mother, while Claude waits for her in the hall. Her mother acts all worried about her now and starts talking about her plan to get out while Melody sits in silence. She understands that her mother is only looking for some comfort, so she stops her before she can apologize and ask for forgiveness. She has made up her mind, and now she only cares about one thing: finding out her exact date of birth. Her mother sweats at the sudden question, and all she can answer is that she was miserably kicked out of the capital, so she doesn't know. Not the answer Melody is looking for. She starts to leave, making her mother yell her heart out. She was tired to death when she was born, so she should just be grateful that she decided to have her. She then shares that it was spring and snowing that day. There were knights everywhere, and no one dared to open their door for her. I was touched for a moment there, until her mother blames her for all the suffering she went through. Her mother didn't change until the very end, and that's probably for the best. She can now let go of her without feeling guilty. Her mother's hatred for her is so great that if there weren't bars between them, she might have killed her own daughter. After her last goodbye, she meets Claude where he said he would be waiting and finds him intriguingly odd. He praises her bravery, smiles at her warmly, and the two get ready to go home. That night, she visits the Duke in his room to plead for mercy on behalf of her friend Isaiah. She explains that Isaiah has been looking out for her ever since she was little, and that he was only trying to do the same thing earlier. The Duke now has second thoughts about the punishment, making Melody relieved. However, that doesn't mean the Duke will not give the young boy a penalty. Not on his watch. But of course, the Duke will not punish Isaiah severely, which she appreciates. The embarrassed Duke then makes an effort to casually present her with a gift, telling her she needs winter clothes to visit her friend, so he gives her a catalog. But our girl misunderstands and thinks the Duke wants her to pick clothes for Loretta, making his efforts for nothing. She then runs into Claude, who is pushing a cart full of books. She can already imagine that her plan to look at dresses for Loretta will have to be canceled because of him. And sure enough, he indeed makes Melody help him with the books as payment for his help in the prison. LOL. When they arrive at the library, she learns that reading books is Claude's hobby. He then hands her a record book that states the weather description her mother gave. Spring, but snowing. She starts putting things together and remembering what her mother said, which makes him happy that she's regained her energy again. Aww, this is all part of his plan to support our girl in finding her birth dates. They have 3 clues: strange weather, wandering knights, and villagers who wouldn't open their doors to a pregnant woman. Claude then recalls that a long time ago, an assassin pretended to be a guest in a village near where royalty goes and murdered the entire family before getting caught. And since then, the royal family has issued an order to the villages, through which the royal carriage regularly passes, to never open doors for strangers for everyone's safety. He happens to be in possession of the very book they need, a record book of the royal family. She is hesitant and concerned that they are building their hopes too high. In an instant, Claude washes away her concerns and reassures her that they will find it. She can't stop wondering why he's so kind to her, and as usual, he uses his baby sister as an excuse, saying Loretta will hate him if he's not nice to her, which she buys. He hands her the book, and as she reads it, flashbacks to when she got bullied because she didn't have a birthday came flooding back. Her lack of response is making Claude worry. When he realizes she found it, she found her birth date! He wipes her tears away, and now he can finally ask when her birthday is. Aw, thank you, Claude! And it's incredibly sweet to see that her birthday has been marked on everyone's calendars. After a few days, Isaiah pays her a visit and immediately kneels and sobs upon seeing her. He feels ashamed and apologizes for his past behavior, but Melody thinks that she should be the one apologizing, confusing him. She never listened to his advice before and always runs away from bullies, so this time she properly expresses how grateful she is. He always wanted her to stand up for herself, but now that she does, he feels unneeded. But even so, he's glad. He then notices her wrist with a bandage and thinks it's his fault, so this time he kneels, sobs, and bangs his head on the floor. She stops him, saying it's not because of him, but of young Master Ronnie. Ronnie has actually requested that she treat him like his brother, which she quickly accepts. However, since she believes he does not enjoy tea, she will bring him milk, making the young master very embarrassed. And she hurt her wrist when she helped Ronnie clean up after he broke a teacup. Ronnie was in a hurry and tried to clean it up himself, so the two of them got hurt in the process. Isaiah calms down and they continue talking, and Melody learns that the Duke's punishment for him was, well, dreadful for Isaiah. Washing socks. She was worried about him and is happy that it's nothing serious. But their conversation was cut short when Ronnie barged in. He invites her to join him for marshmallows and tea, but Melody encourages him to drink milk to grow taller, and he blushingly complies. He keeps rushing her, causing Isaiah to lose patience and yells back at him. They end up playing cards and betting that Ronnie shouldn't treat Melody like a maid, while Ronnie wants him to stay out of it. As the two keep arguing, baby Loretta wins the game with a royal straight flush and receives a cuddle from Melody. Ronnie is being a sore loser and wants to play a different game with Isaiah. He wants to challenge him to treasure hunting, but more stealing. The game is simple. They have to sneak inside Mr. Higgins' office to retrieve a record book. His game is giving Melody headaches, but Isaiah, being as competitive as he is, did not back down. For decades, the Higgins family has served as the Baldwins family's butler. They are in charge of documenting everything that occurs in the mansion. Therefore, the Higgins office is stuffed with historical records of the Duke's family. They are accurate records with not a single day missing, and it is well known that Higgins takes pride in them. So that night, their game begins. The two agree to steal just June's worth of records, and whoever gets caught loses, while Melody watches them having a good time with their little game. Ronnie starts the game and looks inside without realizing that Melody is behind him. He immediately grabs her, fearing they'll be discovered, and enters Higgins' office. He's really into the game and yells at her for trying to make him lose, but actually, she's just worried about his wounds. After dressing his wounds, she innocently asks why he keeps asking her to serve him tea. And that's when he goes on to explain that he felt bad for treating her badly before. He finally expresses his feelings and apologizes to her and asks her not to leave their mansion. She gets him and knows he's lonely because Claude is constantly at the academy while Jeremiah, the third son, went to the magic tower and never came back. She says it without thinking, and Ronnie gets confused as to how she knew about Jeremiah. Before she can respond, Ronnie, who is overjoyed, believes it was Claude who told her, and his eyes shine as he keeps praising how great his brother is. He keeps telling her she can stay, and that's when she understands she too will become an adult and will most likely need to find another place as the door unexpectedly opens. They are safe. It's just Isaiah. He enters the room since he can't wait until he's done. He walks straight to the shelf and finds something strange. The June record from 6 years ago is missing. He feels it was taken to read, but our smart girl disagrees. She discovers no vacant space between the books and believes it was never there to begin with. She questions Ronnie about why he specified to only steal June's record books and learns that it was Claude who taught him the game. She then remembers that in the novel, the Duke and Duchess were married by contract and agreed to split up after a few years. Eventually, they fell in love. Yet for some reason, they kept their promise to separate. Melody knows it took place 6 years ago, and to connect her puzzle, she thinks it happened in June and the Duke hid it as the record contains concealed secrets on it. And so Claude created a game to investigate it. Well, that's the end of their game since Granny crept up behind them and caught them. The next day, Melody is doing her usual routine, which is to write notes in Claude's room. He finds out that she used him as an excuse last night, which is fine to him, but he wonders why she knows Jeremiah, since he knows no one dares to mention his name. According to the novel, the Duke was against him leaving, and so it became a silent rule in the mansion not to talk about the third son. Melody has no more reason to lie, but Claude just smiles and even asks her to be his secret sharing buddy. She declines, since she knows he'll use it to make her do more work. But it turns out Claude's stay is over and he will be returning to the academy tomorrow. I guess that's fine, so she'll miss him in order for their relationship to flourish. Melody has also lost track of the fact that Claude has to go and return to the academy at some point. Now that they brought it up, she remembers that Claude lied to Loretta in the novel when he said he would depart tomorrow morning so that his sister wouldn't have to get up so early to send him off. So lying to her and not admitting that he will leave at midnight shows that Claude also cares for her. Melody is absorbed in her thoughts to the point that Claude notices her looking downcast, which is contrary to his expectations because he believes Melody will be happy because once he leaves, she will not have to continue writing. This prompts her to explain that she is simply concerned that Loretta will become very sad, but she also assures him not to worry too much because Ronnie and the Duke will look after his baby sister. Claude smiles warmly and tells Melody that he isn't worried since, aside from his family, he knows she will watch after Loretta as well, which surprises Melody to the point that she blushes. Soon afterwards, at midnight, Claude is getting ready to leave when he sees 2 letters stashed under his door. Claude is overjoyed to see that he has received 2 letters, one from Loretta, who had drawn a sweet picture of the 2 of them, and another from Melody, who had written down her feelings that she had given up trying to remember her birthday until he came along and helped her discover it, which is something she will never forget and be always grateful for, leading Claude to give that blushy and genuine smile of his. Aw, they aren't able to say goodbyes? Sunlight streaming in through the window jolts Melody out of her slumber, and she hurries out of the house in the hopes that the trickster boy Claude is still around. But to her dismay, he has already left. Only Higgins greets her outside, and while he tries to arrange her bed hair, he reassures her that Claude read her letter with joy before handing her a response letter from Claude. The letter doesn't say much, but reading Claude's wish that she leaves her troubles in the past since her future is going to be full of joy warms her heart. I love a sweet boy. Melody and Loretta have been playing hide-and-seek for days, and Loretta looks to be hiding exceptionally well today, which Melody shares with Higgins, who appears to have noticed them playing. Now that he faces Melody, he tells her that his wife adores it when she refers to her as Grandma, and he's about to request her something, but is too hesitant to do so. Aw, he wants to be called Grandpa, doesn't he? Anyway, where is Loretta hiding, you may ask? Ronnie is helping her hide in a carriage, promising her that Melody would never find her. I think this is going to be a problem. Inside the Duke's office, Higgins regretfully informs Wayne that he has not received any letters today. This saddens him, as it is almost winter and he has yet to receive a letter from his son, Jeremiah. Back to Melody, she spots Ronnie and approaches him to inquire as to if he has seen Loretta. However, this little boy swiftly averts his gaze, as if trying to hide the fact that he assisted his sister in hiding before he storms off. He's so excited because he thinks Loretta will win the game today, and he plans to do it again next time. But little does he know that his sister is trembling in the carriage, yet attempting to control it because she really wants to surprise Melody. Uh-oh, the carriage must have brought up traumatic memories for our poor little baby. She is managing well, but the moment the rain begins and the thunder rolls in, it brings back haunting memories of how Melody's mom took her away, and the moment she lost her hold on her mother's hand during the carriage accident. She attempts to block out the noise, desperately focusing on calling Melody, but the intensity of it becomes too much for her, leading her to fall to the ground. Meanwhile, Ronnie is having lessons but is unable to concentrate due to the heavy rain outside when Melody, who appears to be soaked from the rain, runs into the room and cries that she cannot find Loretta anywhere. She is now freaking out as she reveals that Loretta dislikes being alone in the rain and begs Ronnie to help her find their baby munchkin, which causes Ronnie to feel bad and quickly grabs Melody's hand to go where Loretta is. They are now rushing outside the mansion, both drenched from the rain, and when Melody picks up that they are on their way to the carriage, She recalls the day her mother gleefully told her how she took Loretta and stole items from a crashed carriage in the rain. Melody is now heavily breathing and hurriedly enters the carriage, only to be taken aback to see Loretta sweating and unconscious. They've now gathered inside Loretta's room, where a doctor has just finished his checkup and is unsure of why Loretta isn't waking up, despite her body appearing to be healthy. The only thing he can confirm is that Loretta was most likely unconscious due to a mental shock, which both Melody and Ronnie find terrifying. The Duke promptly kneels down in front of the two anxious kids, telling them that what happened to Loretta was not their fault, and assuring them that everything will be all right, which causes them to cry even more. Aw, I love how gentle the Duke is with his kids. It's been days, and while Melody is aware that Loretta suffers from painful memories in the novel, it was never specified that she slept for so long, so she can't help but blame herself, knowing that she's the sole variable in the story. If she didn't exist and Loretta had not gone hiding in a carriage, she believes that none of this would have occurred, which Ronnie overhears and swiftly dismisses because all she did was play with Loretta. Still, Melody blames herself for not informing Ronnie about Loretta's fear, which caused Ronnie to become frustrated, claiming that he should have known about his little sister's pain from the beginning. He's about to break down, so instead of delivering the flowers he bought, he asks Melody to bring them to his baby sister instead. I'm glad that Ronnie knows how to take responsibility. Thankfully, he isn't the spoiled brat I expected. Inside Loretta's room, Higgins proposes to the Duke that they seek assistance from the Magic Tower, as even the temple priest was unable to help them. He fears that if they delay this, Loretta's health could deteriorate due to her inability to wake up for several days. Wayne, on the other hand, remains silent as he recounts the night his wife Beatrice asked him to promise not to reveal anything about her to their children. Oh my goodness, what in the novel world happened to her? On the bed, she lies sideways, her back wrapped by a bandage that seems to be bleeding badly. She specifically requested Wayne not to tell Jeremiah and advised him that after he had sent Jeremiah away, he should never allow people from the Magic Tower to enter their mansion because they might find a trace. Really intriguing. Anyway, Higgins can tell the Duke is torn about what to do right now, so he reassures him that the Magic Tower will not detect anything because there's no sign of the madam in the mansion anymore. Oh, Grandpa here knows what's going on. The Duke then looks at his sleeping daughter and realizes that Loretta is more important than anything, so he sends a request to the Magic Tower. Jeremiah is an exceptional magician, and his magic vessel has been comparable to that of an adult magician since the first time he entered the Magic Tower. He is more skilled than anybody else and can already be described as a high-class magician at such a young age. But in order to become a successor to the Magic Tower, one must have no flaws. However, even if the young boy is more than capable, he is still not a magician in name because the owner of the Magic Tower saw darkness in Jeremiah's heart, which is connected to his first memory. Speaking of Jeremiah, he is now in the office of Owen, the owner of the Magic Tower, and is surprised to learn that the old man will give him a chance to finally become a magician, provided he can complete his last assignment. It isn't until Owen presents Jeremiah with the request letter from the Baldwins that Jeremiah's excitement quickly fades. Owen notices that Jeremiah is uncomfortable with this, so he guarantees him that he would not send him alone, but the young boy declines, claiming that he can do it alone because that is how all magicians show themselves worthy. He takes the letter and, while appearing driven, pledges to return successful. Jeremiah looks nice with his blue wavy hair and black eyeglasses, but I bet he'll look even cuter if he behaves like a child and smiles. Not long after, Jeremiah returns home, but he acts so formal and introduces himself as Jeremiah, the Magic Tower cultivator, which puzzles his father, while his not-so-big brother Ronnie appears overjoyed to see him. However, Jeremiah only smiles as he explains that he has yet to obtain the title of magician, but reassures him that he'll be able to help the Duke's daughter. Wow, he didn't even address the Duke as his father, nor refer to Loretta as his sister. Noticing that Jeremiah didn't identify as a Baldwin, Higgins deduces that he still harbors hatred towards his family. However, the Duke warmly greets his son with a smile and a homecoming, which makes Jeremiah furrow his brows, and decides to greet Ronnie instead, who looks like a joyful puppy. When Ronnie finds out that Jeremiah knows about Melody, he explains that Melody is currently sleeping after taking care of their younger sister Loretta. However, Ronnie is taken aback when he overhears Jeremiah muttering a wish for Loretta to have been sold to slavery so that he doesn't have any reason to return home. What the? I'm not sure what happened to you, but you don't say that to our precious little sunshine. Our innocent, cute little Ronnie is unsure of what his little brother just said, but as Jeremiah smiles at him, he decides to shrug it off, believing he must have heard it wrong. He then happily grabs Jeremiah's hand, confident that Loretta would be all right now that the amazing Jeremiah, of whom he is so proud, has returned. Ronnie is so pure and a proud brother. When they arrive at Loretta's room, Jeremiah sees how bright and full of toys it is, prompting Ronnie to proudly declare that the decoration is entirely because of his ideas. He even offers to assist Jeremiah in decorating his room if he's interested, but little bro appears to be serious and only wants to complete his duty. Jeremiah requires complete silence in the room to assess Loretta's condition, so he urges his brother to keep quiet, prompting Ronnie to leave. And as soon as he does, Jeremiah glances at his little sister with anger since her blonde hair reminds him of their mother. He remembers the night when his mother was writhing on the floor, her back slashed open by shards of glass as she carried him, forehead also bleeding while she swore that she would kill him. I see this is where his trauma begins, huh? I'm sure there's a reason behind this. Meanwhile, as Ronnie stands outside the room, Melody arrives, and he cheerfully states that Jeremiah has returned to heal Loretta with his magic, which causes Melody to panic because it appears that magic should not be used on Loretta. What? Really? In any case, they have no idea that Jeremiah is now holding their little munchkin by the neck and emitting awful energy. Oh, please don't tell me that this boy is evil! Thankfully, Jeremiah pulls his hand from Loretta's neck and decides to simply inspect her condition. He can tell Loretta is stuck in a memory and does not want to wake up since it is so nice. Technically, he could simply step inside her memory and bring her back to reality immediately. He dislikes the thought of encountering their mother there and fears that Loretta could be just as insane as their mother. Now is not the time, baby son. We need our jelly bean back. As Melody begs Ronnie to let her into the room from outside, the Duke appears, confused as to why they are arguing. Ronnie explains that Melody keeps insisting on entering the room, prompting the Duke to explain that being exposed to mana could harm her, making it unsafe to approach Loretta now. But he also assures her that he and Higgins would closely monitor the situation. Nevertheless, Melody appears to be still uneasy, so he kneels down to her level and gives her a pinky promise, which helps her to relax. It's already evening, but Jeremiah hasn't left Loretta's room, so Higgins decides to check on him. The little boy opens the door and says he'll keep a watch on Loretta all night, causing Higgins to smile and tell him that the maids would take care of things, promising to let him know if anything goes wrong. Grandpa here also expresses his concerns for him and hopes Jeremiah will allow him to accompany him to his room, which makes him unable to say no. Oh, he has soft spots for Grandpa. When they reach near his room, Jeremiah asks Higgins to go, explaining that he is no longer a child who requires someone to escort him door to door, which the old man respects, so he departs. However, as he is ready to enter his door, the memory of his wrecked and bloodied room flashes before him, causing his forehead scar to start hurting. Much to his surprise, the room is spotless and exactly as he remembered it. Suddenly, his father calls him from outside, bringing warm chocolate that he can drink before he drifts off to sleep. When Wayne chooses to simply leave it on his front door and say goodnight, Jeremiah becomes annoyed, opens the door, and yells that he doesn't know why his father gave him that particular room and is suddenly acting nice. He then slams the cup and curses his own father. There is a huge misunderstanding here, and they need to communicate because Jeremiah is definitely a traumatized little baby. Jeremiah confronts his father, irritated that he bears the family name and shaking with anger as he vents his hatred for him. Hearing his own son say that makes the Duke tremble, but still, he assures Jeremiah that he understands how he feels, and he simply inspects his hands for injuries that make Jeremiah wonder why he isn't upset, prompting him to quickly withdraw his hands. He then tells his father that if his mission goes well, he'll become a magician and no longer need to carry the name Baldwin, which makes his father look sad. The Duke then tries to express that Jeremiah always holds a special place in his heart as he reaches out to him, but Jeremiah deliberately distances himself. As he slams the door shut, a wave of discomfort crashes over him, and when he hears his father say goodnight, he can't help but hug his knees and cry as he remembers his first memory. Everyone has a first memory that best represents their childhood, and for Jeremiah, it was the moment he heard his mother scream when he was 5 years old. He overheard his mother as she confided in his father about killing him, while she cradled him in her arms. At that young age, he didn't fully understand the meaning of kill, but one day, while reading a book, he learned that death is the fate for the wicked, leading him to wonder if he's a bad child. One day, when they all gathered together, their father shared the news that their mother Beatrice had a job and would be living away from home for some time. After Claude asked why, their father explained that their mother dislikes life in the capital because it's crowded, and her health condition has worsened significantly. leading him to decide to allow her to go elsewhere. However, little Jeremiah suspected that it was a lie, and the fact that he believed their mother despised his presence since she devoted all of her time to his brothers left him feeling abandoned. His mother's intense dislike for him led him to believe that she attempted to kill him but failed, which is why she left their home. He began to distrust everyone after that, including his own father, who tried to console him, believing that his love was an act. Poor kid has some mommy issues, and childhood trauma does linger, so I hope they can help him. Back to the present, as Melody strolls through the hallway, she notices Ronnie completely absorbed in a document. She walks up to him and starts staring at him so closely that the boy is so startled that he drops everything. As he picks up the letter and the book he drops, Melody becomes intrigued as to why he's carrying a dictionary, causing him to turn bright red, believing that she will now see him as a dumb guy who fails to understand some words. As a result, he chooses to show the letter, which contains difficult-to-read handwriting and requires a dictionary. But he is surprised when Melody reads it effortlessly. She discovers that the letter is from the owner of the Magic Tower and is in response to Ronnie's question about what Jeremiah likes. She continues to read it and mentions that according to the Tower Master, Jeremiah prefers tea with pickled lemon, chocolates and milk, or fruits for breakfast, which amazes Ronnie and makes him wonder how she can read such crooked handwriting. This brings a warm smile to our lovely lady's face as she explains that she used to visit a village where the elders had poor vision, and she would read texts for them in handwriting that resembled the Tower Master's. Poor Ronnie drops to the ground, feeling defeated, which Melody has no idea about, so she chooses to cheer him up by saying that she will help him understand the letters. Cuties. Cutie Ronnie is now on his way to Jeremiah's room, bringing him the milk and fruit stated by the Tower Master. Although Granny Higgins already prepared it before he could ask because the Duke has already requested it. The fact that the Duke still knows Jeremiah's favorites shows his love for his son. Anyway, Ronnie remembers how helpful Melody was with the letter earlier, and he notes that she has both a nice voice and a pretty face, which leads him to blush. But he quickly denies this and calls Melody a pumpkin. Aw, could he please be the main lead? I love how adorable, innocent, and loving he is. When Ronnie arrives at Jeremiah's room and receives no response from within, he decides to peek and discovers that his younger brother is still sleeping. However, he is surprised when he senses Jeremiah sweating so much, so he checks his forehead temperature and discovers the scar, forcing Jeremiah to wake up and use his powers to hurl poor Ronnie away. Jeremiah is still in defense mode, but quickly returns to normal, while Ronnie apologizes for surprising him and explains that he was simply attempting to wipe his sweat. However, when Ronnie brings up the scar on his forehead and asks who dared to hurt him, Jeremiah's eyes darken and he smiles bitterly, asking Ronnie if he would hate the person who did it. Oh my. Ronnie is taken aback by what Jeremiah has just said, but as his older brother, he swears to hate the person who gave him his scar. This prompts Jeremiah to ask one more question, requesting that Ronnie confirm that he will not forgive the woman who did it to him for the rest of his life, which Ronnie promises. However, before Jeremiah can reveal that it is their mother, they are cut off by Granny Higgins, who informs them that a magician from the Magic Tower has arrived. Jeremiah is startled to see that the person is this kind-looking man, Magician Pierce, who says that he's come to assist him with his task. The Magic Tower received his report yesterday, which is actually perfect. But Pierce is concerned because Jeremiah is not planning to use nervous system magic, prompting the little boy to argue that he is simply waiting for Loretta to wake up on her own, and that he ensures Loretta's body does not become overly exhausted. However, Pierce reminds him that the client is only a child, and a child's mind may develop quickly. So if Loretta fails to be guided by a magician right away, she may get lost in her memories. Pierce then speaks authoritatively, claiming that they can no longer wait for Loretta to return on her own, and that he is now taking over the task from Jeremiah to maintain the reputation of the Magic Tower's name and the safety of their client. As a result, Jeremiah pleads with his superior not to take the task from him, reasoning that this is his one and only opportunity to earn the title of magician. Suddenly, the Duke interrupts their conversation and formally requests that Pierce give Jeremiah another chance. But Pierce cannot comply because the order comes from the Tower Master himself, leaving the Duke with no choice but to block him access to his daughter's room. After that, he gazes at his son with a tearful face and a bitter smile, as he truly wants him to succeed in his goal of becoming a magician so that he can drop his Baldwin surname. Jeremiah trembles as he believes his father really plans on removing him from his family. But Wayne quickly denies this and clarifies with a smile that, while they may have different views, as his father, he will always want to support him, causing this young boy to bite his lips in frustration. Jeremiah leaves the room and meets Ronnie outside, who promptly apologizes for eavesdropping, but like their father, wants to help him in any way he can because they're brothers. The situation escalates to the point where Jeremiah becomes extremely angry, and he violently seizes Ronnie's shirt while yelling that he has never considered him a brother. Ronnie, my poor baby, simply wants to get closer to you, though. Ronnie, being the kind-hearted child that he is, simply assesses Jeremiah's distress and decides to apologize, which causes Jeremiah to feel bad and run away. In the meantime, Melody is reading a book to Loretta in her room when Jeremiah slams the door open and demands her to leave. Don't tell me this boy's going to lash out at his little sister. Melody doesn't understand why he looks so angry, but what surprises her even more is when the unconscious Loretta holds her hand so tightly that her fingers turn red from the grip, prompting Jeremiah to sigh and explain that he's going to cure Loretta now. So if she continues to hold hands with Loretta, she'll be affected by his power. He expects Melody to not understand what he just stated, but to his surprise, Melody quickly catches up and realizes that if she maintains physical touch with Loretta, she'll be able to get into Loretta's memories as well. For a slave trader's daughter who did not receive a decent education, he cannot believe Melody knows so much about magic. So he explains that if she's lucky, she will only be able to see Loretta's memories with him, but if not, she'll be dragged into Loretta's mind and never wake up again. Melody resolves not to let go after realizing that Loretta holding her makes Loretta feel more stable, which frustrates Jeremiah because she keeps acting as if it is nothing, while in fact, if things go wrong, she may not return. But he stops short when Melody reassuringly says that she would muster the courage to change the present without magic, as this is her sole option for helping. Well, it appears that Our Lady here has some power within that she's unaware of, because although Jeremiah can detect that it is not much, he can still feel the magical aura from Melody. He continues to act grumpy, but he does assure her that he will not allow her to be sucked, which makes her very pleased. And she suggests that he chat to Loretta when he sees her so he can see how adorable his little sister is. Without any more delay, they begin holding hands, and Jeremiah finally enters his little sister's mind. Meanwhile, at the, Leaning Tower of Magic, one of Master Owen's colleagues tries to persuade him to give Jeremiah, aka his favorite student, another chance, because she believes the small boy will be severely affected at the thought that Owen did not believe in him. However, rather than considering how Jeremiah feels, Owen is more worried with their client's safety, and he makes the comment that no one should look up to a wizard like him who abandoned his family. To give you some context, Tower Master Owen was originally a prince and member of the royal family, but he decided to give up his title and pursue knowledge. Oh, it explains why he has that very demure aura in him. Back to Jeremiah, he is now within Loretta's inner world, and the fact that Melody is nowhere to be found just means that she fell asleep and did not make it to Loretta, which is better for her safety and allows Jeremiah to focus on the task at hand. He is now inside a black and white mansion, puzzled as to why there isn't a single servant in Loretta's memories. Then, out of nowhere, he sees a trail of glowing flower petals, so he follows it until he reaches the mansion's front door. Upon opening it, he is taken aback by the sight of a serene and bright backyard, but his awe is abruptly interrupted when he feels a tiny hand grabbing his fingers. It's Loretta! I miss you, our little cutie honey bun! When Jeremiah reveals that he is a doctor, Loretta is overjoyed and swiftly leads him somewhere, while Jeremiah observes the surroundings and finds the warmth of the sun and aroma of the flowers to be quite realistic. Even the breeze of the wind feels so real that he can't believe that a little child who can recall such a specific event has forgotten the existence of a servant, leading him to conclude that Loretta and their mother must have lived somewhere quiet without anyone. He then starts to wonder where she will take him, prompting the little one to inform him that Melody is sick. But when they get in a carriage in the middle of nowhere, he is horrified to discover that the unconscious person is their mother. Oh no, the very person he doesn't want to see! But how can anyone be upset when their mom looks so peaceful and lovely sleeping? Jeremiah looks at his mother and begins to sweat heavily, forcing him to hurriedly cover up his eyes, and ask Loretta whether the lady in front of them is the Melody she knows. The reason why he's waiting for Loretta to wake up on her own is because he assumed that she was having a wonderful dream. But now he realizes that his little sister is struggling with her memories, forcing her to get lost within. Loretta returns her gaze to their mother, and all she knows is how much she loves her. But Jeremiah's question has caused her to doubt whether the person in front of them is really Melody. Loretta is now emitting a sweet scent, implying that she only has beautiful memories with their mother in her heart. But when Loretta says she doesn't recognize their mother, Jeremiah becomes extremely upset and finds it ridiculous. He believes that someone like her, who only has good memories, should be able to remember their mother, which triggers him to cry. My heart goes for these two traumatized babies struggling to heal from their trauma on their own. Nevertheless, thanks to him getting mad, Loretta finally remembers their mother, causing her to start bawling her eyes out as she probably figured out that their mom is already gone. But now that her memories have returned, the scenario changes. Now they're in the path of a huge storm, and their carriage is being pulled along with it. He notices Loretta's shaking hands as she clings to their mother, and he realizes that they have entered Loretta's fear, considering that they had lost their mother in the carriage accident. Finally, he gives their sleeping mom a good look, and he wishes he could tell her that the child she tried to kill before has grown into an exceptional person adored by the Magic Tower. He really wants to know why she left him without apologizing and whether there's something wrong with him. Even though he despised her, the day he heard that their mother had passed away, the poor boy sobbed uncontrollably, longing to see her again. He never hated her, he simply wanted to be loved by his mom. However, it's all in the past now. Their mom has passed away, and he will not allow Loretta to stay in such a terrifying dream any longer. He extends a hand to her and gently suggests that they return to the place where her loved ones are patiently waiting for her to awaken. Loretta accepts, but as soon as they hold hands, the carriage window shatters, forcing Jeremiah to use his body to shield Loretta, only to be surprised when their mother hugs and saves them. After a long time, he hears her loving voice again, pleading with God to protect all of her 4 darling children and wishing them all happiness. After that, he awakens with Loretta and Melody by his side, and he starts muffling his cry. It may not be the closure he wants, but it's definitely the one he needs. After calming down, he notices that their bed is filled with petals, the same ones in Loretta's memory, which captures his interest because he has repeatedly tapped into the memories of others, but none of it has altered reality. Melody is the only variable today, thus he believes this could be related to her power. He's completely absorbed in his thoughts when he suddenly realizes, to his surprise, that he's lying next to Melody, which sends a rush of panic through him. He looks extra adorable and mature without his glasses. Melody then wakes up, prompting this shy boy to immediately put on his glasses. When she hears Loretta's voice, she instinctively wraps her arms around the little one, sobbing with relief that she's now okay. With a big smile, Loretta expresses her deep love for both her mother and Melody, which stuns the older girl. Melody then turns to Jeremiah, pleased to learn that he really spoke with Loretta, otherwise Loretta's memories of their mom would have not returned. Jeremiah blushes at Melody's smile, but they are stopped as Loretta cutely and proudly announces that she knows who he is. Jeremiah Baldwin! Our cutie patootie cheeseball is really back. Jeremiah takes a few moments to compose himself before correcting his little sister that his name is actually Jeremiah Baldwin. Aw, he finally uses his last name. Loretta quickly informs him that their mother's judgment of Jeremiah's cuteness and intelligence was correct, which piques his interest. She playfully acts adorable and tells him that if he's curious to learn more, she'll share next time, encouraging him to return home, and to seal the deal, they make a pinky promise. Later that night, Jeremiah writes a report to the Magic Tower, detailing his successful mission. But now that he thinks about it, the massive storm event in Loretta's dream felt too real, leading him to suspect that it actually happened. He hesitates to write it down because he knows that if what he experienced in Loretta's mind is true, he has no authority to reveal it to anyone. Though curious, I must commend this boy's maturity. As he exits the mansion, ready to return to the Magic Tower, he realizes that he has been so focused on his own emotions that he has overlooked other possible reasons why their mother left. He then gazes at his father, realizing that he must have also lied to him in order to protect him. Jeremiah remains immersed in his thoughts when he suddenly loses his balance, but fortunately, his father is there, ready to catch him just in time. Jeremiah has so many questions, but there is one thing that bothers him so much. Despite his fear, he holds out hope that his father's answer will be positive, so he confronts him to see whether he actually wants him to give up his family name, Baldwin. He looks so innocent. After a brief pause, Jeremiah's father gently holds his hands and shares that he had never hoped for it, which surprises him and prompts him to give his father that gentle smile, expressing that he feels the same way. Before Jeremiah leaves, his father promises him that he will always be waiting for him to return. But our little lad here proudly smiles and declares that he will most likely be the one to visit him in the Magic Tower, since he will certainly acquire his title. The Duke swears to visit no matter what, prompting Jeremiah to wave him goodbye with a wide smile. Look at him smile now! So cute! As he boards the carriage, he decides to just hear Dutchie's secrets from someone who has long been a part of it, hoping that one day he'll learn the whole truth from his father. Later that day, Ronnie is surprised to find his brother Claude's report card showcased in a striking gold frame, celebrating him as the valedictorian of the entire class. Mr. Higgins then informs him that they proposed to host a banquet for Claude, but he declined, likely because it was a natural outcome for him. After that, Ronnie walks down a staircase, pondering if being at the top of the class is genuinely fulfilling. And as he continues, he notices Loretta walking nearby. The little sister dashes over to him, eager to share a secret. She softly inquires if he has ever witnessed Grandma Higgins unveil the heavenly ladder, a question that leaves him confused. She then innocently points to the ceiling, asserting that's where the heavenly ladder originated, and she describes witnessing Granny ascend the ladder, convinced that it must be a route to heaven. Nevertheless, she feels uncertain about her next steps, as she cannot reach the ceiling. This leads Ronnie to clarify that even with her height, there are many methods to access it. He then proposes that they search for a long wooden stick in the garden, which fills Loretta with excitement. Ronnie is currently seeking a long wooden stick, but he can't get rid of his curiosity about whether there's a path to the attic, as Loretta claims. He then considers that the missing June records might be there, and remembered Claude warns him that if the record is truly important and out of sight, it must have been hidden somewhere no one can see, prompting him to believe that a great secret is written there. Out of nowhere, he is surprised to find Loretta at the window of Melody's room, leading him to think that she's already confided in Melody. However, Loretta clarifies that Melody is with Granny, and this little bun expresses her desire to assist him in searching for a long stick. She then ascends onto the window, prompting Ronnie to feel a surge of panic. Mr. Higgins catches sight at her at the last moment, but she's already springing off the window, something that Ronnie successfully blocks. Ronnie ends up with a minor knee injury and is now in the Duke's office feeling frustrated, as this marks the second occasion he's placed Loretta in danger. Wayne is taken aback when Ronnie unexpectedly expresses his wish to achieve greatness on par with his brothers Claude and Jeremiah. You know, middle child problems. He realizes that Ronnie would struggle to comprehend the idea that each of them has unique abilities, and there's no need to hurry. Now that Daddy is considering ways to encourage his son, he gives him a significant assignment: to plan a family feast. So instead of words, he wants to show that he trusts Ronnie. Brilliant! Wayne reminds Ronnie that he has been in charge of their mansion, and he grew up watching their attendance. He goes on to say that anyone can organize a party, but only those who have known them for a long time can throw a banquet that honors one's heart. Hence, Ronnie is the best person for the task. Look at this little man's cheeks flush as he's overjoyed that his dad has faith in him to pull this off. So he gets to his feet and vows to give it his all before bolting out the door, much to Wayne's amusement. The best father. Banquet means food, so the first thing Ronnie does is read the chef's special menu book, which has information about their family's food preferences. However, he has only one issue. Melody's favorite dish is not included in the notes. Well, to be more specific, Melody simply eats whatever she's given. Speaking of the lovely girl, she shows up, so Ronnie informs her that he's in charge of the forthcoming banquet, and he intends to have everyone applaud him for it, including her. Now that he thinks about it, Melody does keep her favorite ink, which suggests she is also the person who eats their favorite meal last, and he has noticed that she eats her meat last. Look at this bambino noticing the little things about Melody! When he declares that he intends to prepare a large tender meat for her at the party, Melody's eyes brighten, proving that he correctly predicted her favorite cuisine. To be loved is to be known indeed. After that, he requests her to buy herself a new dress for the feast and gives her the Duke's badge, which she may just show at the store. Mr. Mailman gives her a lift to the city, but he is concerned about how she will get home, prompting Melody to reassure him that Grandma Higgins is in a nearby yarn store, so they will simply meet up and go home together. The mailman is glad to hear that, but he urges her to be cautious because an explosion occurred recently. After they wave farewell, our girl gathers her courage to enter a prestigious-looking dress boutique, and as she prepares the badge she needs to present to the owner, a haughty-looking lady who appears to be the owner immediately suspects she's only an errand girl. The madam becomes annoyed and demands Melody to read the catalog she holds, but our girl feels confused and unsure of what to do, prompting the madam to kick her out. The owner then hits Melody in the forehead with the catalog, which confuses her even more. But what surprised her the most is that Claude is behind her. My boy is enraged, and while maintaining his usual smile, states that if she wants to sue the shop, he is more than willing to testify. He is back, and bankruptcy is coming to you, madam. Claude hastily examines her forehead and smiles after confirming that the shop owner did not hit her with such force, or else the Duke will surely get mad at him. Melody gets confused as to why the Duke would ever punish him, prompting Claude to remind her that she is their family's guest, which catches her off guard and causes her to smile. In the store, the owner reaches down to pick up an object she sees shining on the floor, and to her horror, it turns out to be the Baldwin badge. She hurriedly opens the shop door to call Melody, and despite sweating heavily, she shows her the badge she dropped and quickly bows, stating that she may request whatever clothing she desires. To the madam's confusion, Melody simply begins reciting the lines she read from their catalog earlier, smilingly explaining that she does not want people to think she cannot read. While keeping her head held high, our girl explains that she wants her first formal dress to be associated only with good memories. But because the madam has already tainted it with her previous bad actions, she cannot possibly purchase the dress from her. As Melody asks the madam to return the badge to her, she flashes that sophisticated grin, making the owner feel horrible and leading her to apologize. She really handled that with grace. Claude and Melody are now strolling through the city, and he is pleased that she used the badge to her advantage, while Melody feels embarrassed by what she has done. Following that, Claude beamingly declares that he knows an amazing clothes store, which she follows, but later regrets because the dressmakers are so enthusiastic that she has no choice but to keep trying on different dresses. Claude can hear the ladies having fun behind the curtain, so he asks Melody if she can show him her dress as well. But it is a no-no, since she knows he will just make fun of her. Instead, she just asks how he discovered this wonderful ladies' dress shop, and learns that Claude was looking for the best dress shop where he could buy only the best for his baby sister. I almost forgot that this guy is a simp for Loretta. It appears that he has been looking for shops today as well, which is how he found her. Then he reaches behind the curtain to give Melody a hair ribbon, an unexpected and lovely gift that our girl loves. I'm torn between shipping our girl with Claude or Ronnie. Speaking of Ronnie, he receives a letter from Jeremiah, and before opening it, assumes it is an apology for the day his little brother yelled at him. Ronnie is relieved that he would receive a letter from Jeremiah because the two of them haven't had the opportunity to speak since that day. The letter informs Ronnie that Jeremiah is now a real wizard and is now tasked with guarding the prison gates. However, Ronnie is let down by the last paragraph, which states that the letter is not an apology but rather a rejection of his invitation to the banquet. It breaks my heart to watch little Ronnie in pain. After purchasing her dress, she says her goodbyes to Claude and prepares to meet Granny Higgins at the yarn shop. But our guy here refuses, insisting that she repay his services today by going for a walk together. Melody agrees, and while they walk, Claude brings up the topic of Jeremiah visiting their mansion and helping Loretta regain her memories of their mother. He then asks if Jeremiah has ever contacted her separately following his visit, which she quickly denies, leaving her wondering what happened to Jeremiah. This prompts Claude to reveal that he reviewed Jeremiah's mission report, and upon discovering that it was missing specifics, concluded that it had something to do with the secret he had been attempting to figure out for a long time. He assumed Jeremiah had discovered something related to their mother's death, so he asked his younger brother about it, and most likely because he was so desperate to hear the truth, he ended up hurting Jeremiah with his words. I must say, Jeremiah can really keep a secret. According to the novel, 6 years ago, the Duchess left the mansion without telling the Duke and concealed her pregnancy from him. The Duke couldn't bring himself to inform their children, which is why he lied and claimed that their mother was not feeling well. But it was only a matter of time until the young Claude suspected something was wrong. This must have been a lot for Claude to bear, so Melody tells him he doesn't have to put up a brave front around her because she isn't his adorable little sister who needs him to protect her. Her words of comfort catch him off guard, and he can't help but smile rosily as he reminds her that she is still a child herself, but that he appreciates her. After that, he sees a little girl selling flowers, so he buys one for her as a thank you for her kind remarks, which Melody gratefully accepts. As they continue walking, they are surprised to come across Isaiah, who appears to be cradling a baby. And no, it's not his baby, but the only survivor of a nearby explosion. Isaiah is assigned with babysitting, but it refuses to stop crying, so they end up walking far away from the scene, which makes him cry as well. Thankfully, Claude is very knowledgeable about children, so he volunteers to hold the baby as Isaiah stretches his back and explains that, being the only witness, they may have to peek into the baby's memories. He then starts acting cutely, informing Melody that he has been writing letters to his mother so she should praise him, prompting her to begin patting his head. But that cute moment is interrupted short by Claude, who wonders when he would return to his squad. Seeing that the Central Prison Knights are supervising the scene rather than the fire department, Claude assumes that the incident was caused by Iphices, individuals who have broken magical vessels. Their mana bursts without warning, causing them to burn or explode everything, which is why they are regarded as cursed monsters. In the meantime, Ronnie pays a personal visit to his younger brother at the Central Prison in an effort to convince him to join them for their banquet. Despite his pain, my sweet boy is still reaching out. After he asks Jeremiah whether he isn't comfortable going because of something, Jeremiah finally admits that it is Claude. Ronnie gets confused and wonders if they met without his knowledge. But Jeremiah refuses to tell him anything and simply gives him a nice smile while thanking Ronnie for his visit, but his answer is still no, which really saddens my boy here. Ronnie has returned home, and while he is busy planning for the celebration, he can't help but wish for their family to come together. He appears low, but not after Melody enters to offer him tea, who also informs him that she has already bought a dress. Ronnie's mood brightens, and he proudly announces that he has made preparations for her at the celebration. I really enjoy seeing him smile. After that, he asks if she had a good time shopping, which reminds her of the arrogant owner. But she knows Ronnie will be furious, so she decides to lie and say everything went great. Not long after, a servant knocks on the door and informs both of them that they have received flowers from the dress shop, stating that it is a gesture of apology, which surprises Melody. She panics and wants to check it herself, which makes Ronnie suspicious and instructs the servant to bring it in before she can hide it. As expected, Ronnie is frustrated that Melody was treated so badly by the shop, but he freezes when she states that Claude arrived and assisted her in buying from another store. Once again, it was his brother who cleaned up the mess, which is making Ronnie feel worthless because he isn't good at anything. Plus, the banquet he's hosting is also in disarray. As he begins to feel overwhelmed, he tells Melody to just leave him alone, and he begins to cry. Can I take this little boy home and give him a hug? The next morning, our snuggle bunny Loretta enters Ronnie's room to wake him up, sensing he's struggling these days. She understands that he has a lot going on, from studying to hosting a party and even taking the time to help her find a stick. Loretta then says that things must be pretty difficult for him, especially since he's such a caring brother. Her words bring warmth to his heavy heart, and he embraces her, expressing gratitude for having a baby sister who always believes in him, even when he feels disappointed in himself. Such beautiful souls. I love them. With his confidence restored, Ronnie steps into his father's office to plan the feast. The banquet day has finally arrived, but when Ronnie knocks on Melody's door, he is surprised to see her in tears, making him give that "what the heck happened to you" look. However, that quickly turns into a blush as Melody swings open the door, showing her lovely dress. She clarifies that she had accidentally dropped her fan and struck her head on the desk's edge while trying to pick it up, leading to severe pain. He then asks her to bend down so that he can lightly blow on the damaged area. But as their gazes meet, he quickly sprints away and blushes like a tomato. He stutters as he explains that his action is nothing more than an ancient medical treatment used between close people, which causes Melody to flush as well. But she wonders if it is proper that he use such precious medication on her. My little sweetum is getting shy, but he reminds her that they're friends, and he also takes the chance to reassure her that she can count on him too, as he promises to protect her. He goes all out now by saying Melody looks really beautiful today, which makes her very happy, and she returns the remark. My boy's making his move cute. They chat for a bit longer until adorable Loretta shows up, and then they all head to the banquet hall. So squishy and adorable. Meanwhile, Claude is on the balcony, pondering on his talk with Ronnie. He actually apologized to Ronnie for making the banquet preparations difficult due to his fight with Jeremiah. Claude is concerned that Jeremiah will not attend because he is around, but he is surprised to receive a cheeky smile from Ronnie, who assures him that he has everything covered. However, he still can't help but feel bad when he notices a carriage below and sees Owen, the Tower Master, and little Jeremiah following him from behind. Prior to the scheduled banquet, Ronnie informs his father regarding his desire to extend an invitation to Lord Owen from the Mage Tower. Even though he knows Lord Owen prefers to avoid noble matters, he firmly believes, given the steady nature of his responses to his letters, that Lord Owen consistently places importance on issues concerning Jeremiah. Thus, he earnestly seeks his father's approval to extend an invitation to the Lord of the Magic Tower, assured that he will be pleased to accept. I actually never thought of this as an option. Such a really clever boy. Inside the banquet hall, Melody is surprised to discover that Ronnie used the Lord of the Magic Tower to invite Jeremiah. To start the event, Ronnie delivers the welcome speech, expressing gratitude for the presence of everyone and sharing that they're celebrating 3 significant things. To begin with, there's a celebration for Claude's remarkable achievement of attaining the top rank at the Academy. Next, they are honoring Jeremiah's new title as Wizard Baldwin. Finally, they are rejoicing for Loretta, who has completely regained her health. Ronnie, on the other hand, apologizes and explains that while he strives to make dishes that cater to everyone's tastes, he changes his mind and decides to modify the menu, which may include dishes they don't generally appreciate or dishes that carry wonderful memories. Then, cake is served as the first dish for their father because Ronnie remembered their mother telling him that the reason their father no longer ate cake was because he hid a ring in a big cake to propose to her. He didn't mark where he hid it, so he ended up eating the whole cake only to find the ring in the last slice, making them all laugh and changing the atmosphere of the room. The second dish is rye bread, but before Ronnie can elaborate, Jeremiah interjects to inform everyone that it's easy to consume and provides lasting satisfaction. Suddenly, Claude interjects to say that he likes how convenient rye bread is too, but of course he doesn't always eat it. With a cheerful expression, he asks Jeremiah if he likes snacks as well, which the little one agrees, and they begin discussing the meals they enjoy. Claude then gives him that loving smile and says that they really do have the same taste, prompting Jeremiah to look away and get all shy after realizing he got too excited. After observing everyone, Ronnie hopes for more opportunities to engage in conversations in the future, as he realizes that despite sharing the same name, they know very little about one another. My best boy worked hard to find a dish that Claude and Jeremiah both enjoy, and he hopes that next year they may share more stories, which Jeremiah shyly agrees to. Ronnie is overjoyed, and soon everyone is smiling and savoring their lunch together. This is so wholesome, and Ronnie is really the family's glue. Music starts playing after their meal, prompting the Duke and the Tower Master to relax with their wine and engage in conversation. Claude, Melody, and baby Loretta, on the other hand, are enjoying themselves on the dance floor, which makes Ronnie, our little host here, relieved that everything is going well. Suddenly, he becomes startled when for the first time, Jeremiah initiates a conversation with him, asking straight up if Ronnie sees Melody differently. Ronnie flushes at his brother's question but quickly denies it, prompting Jeremiah to reveal that, unlike him, he finds Melody intriguing. He expresses that he finds it difficult to believe that the girl is only a slave trader's daughter and wishes to study her at least once, causing Ronnie to stress out and remind his little brother that Melody is his friend and his family's guest. Are we adding little Jeremiah to the harem? Wait, I keep having trouble deciding between the brothers that I forgot Loretta was the one who proposed first. Anyway, Ronnie shifts the subject and asks Jeremiah whether he's upset that he used the Tower Master to invite him, to which Jeremiah confirms but admits he already forgot about it since he was having too much fun. Ronnie then holds Jeremiah's hand and apologizes, making the younger one feel guilty. Because he considered himself a victim his whole life, he was unbothered about the hurtful things he said and did to his family. However, it has recently begun to concern him, and he has decided to finally be upfront about his feelings. So he bows to his brother and apologizes for saying awful words that he didn't mean to say. Ronnie becomes shy, but Jeremiah continues and expresses how much he admires him, his kindness, his love for his family, and even for lowering his pride to apologize is very impressive. The fact that Jeremiah says that he respects him and aspires to be just like him makes Ronnie feel warm and fuzzy inside. After everything, his love finally reaches his brother. Not just Jeremiah, but the whole family gathers, with his father praising him for his efforts, Loretta enjoying all the food, Claude commenting that this is the most exciting banquet he has ever attended, and Melody complimenting him on the very thoughtful meal, and even wondering how he came up with it. Ronnie is so overjoyed that he stands there and cracks the cutest, most cheeky smile imaginable. Look how all of his hard work paid off! You did wonderful, sweetie! He proceeds to ask Melody to dance and playfully replies to her question, claiming that it is only normal because he's a genius, which prompts our girl to flash that adorable smile. Owen then decides to use his magic to make the entire venue go sparkly, leading the kids to have so much fun that Wayne wishes Beatrice had been there to witness it with him. He reassures her in his thoughts that their children have grown up nicely, leading him to believe that he may soon tell them their secret. Then he thinks back on his proposal and how much fun he and Bea had on that day. Surely, a love story we failed to protect. The evening has arrived, and the party has finally come to an end. Loretta dreams of becoming a wizard after witnessing Owen's magic, but Ronnie reminds her that no one can become one, prompting Owen to join their conversation and reveal that Loretta possesses a magical vessel. He tries to test her abilities, but our baby swiftly hides behind her brother Ronnie and bluntly says she's afraid of his beard. Kids say whatever comes to mind, so sorry, not sorry, mister. Meanwhile, Jeremiah is with his father and apologizes for leaving so quickly, which the Duke understands given that he knows he'll be sent to the central prison. He then informs Jeremiah that he'll be visiting the central prison soon too, which surprises him, but shortly realizes that it must be an order from the Emperor. The Duke then informs him that he will need to visit the prison to discuss the arrangement for a certain lady prisoner, which makes Jeremiah uneasy. Wait, the mysterious lady has brown hair just like Melody. Is it possible that the lady is connected to our baby? Whatever the case may be, this prompts Wayne to pat his son on the head and wish that he will not overwork. As he gently touches his son's cheek, Jeremiah leans in and smiles, wishing the same for his father. Cute! The next day, the Duke decides to take Loretta and Melody to an art gallery, and Daddy here is having trouble keeping up with his speedy little ball of sunshine, while Melody is captivated by a painting. However, she is interrupted by a young lady who unexpectedly labels her as a lowly person. Melody gazes at the girl's father and recalls him as one of the vassals who attempted to humiliate her but got kicked out by the Duke. He really passed on his arrogance to his daughter. The girl then says that now that Melody likes the painting, no one will ever buy it, and that Melody is only sticking with Loretta in order to collect things from the family. Our precious girl looks down and denies it, but she's taken aback when the father laughs at her and reminds her that she owns nothing from head to toe. Oh, how I wish the Baldwins were here. After a few days, the Duke receives letters from elders and vassals, leading him to suspect that something happened at the art gallery that Melody did not mention. He tears the letter and massages his brow as he tells Higgins that nobles want to kick Melody away and have their own children become friends with Loretta, as if Loretta is going to play with them. The Duke is sorry for Melody's suffering because of her mother's actions, and he hopes she can find a new family, prompting Gramps Higgins to provide him with a list of adoption options he asked. If you look closely, you'll see my name on the list. Today, Loretta cries and states that she will not attend the concert if Melody doesn't join her, while Melody tries to calm the cutie patootie by expressing her excitement to hear all about it from her later. To convince Melody, Loretta takes her hand, declares her love, and kisses it while begging her to come with her, causing Melody to flush. Who could say no to that? Afterward, Melody cries in front of Mrs. Higgins, expressing how much she finds Loretta to be lovelier and prettier, which leads Mommy to ask why she doesn't go with her. Melody smiles as she explains that she recently joined the Duke and Loretta at the art gallery, and she feels they didn't have enough quality family time, which causes Mommy to pause. Melody walks outside the manor and suddenly hears Isaiah calling her name. Seeing him makes her smile, and she wonders why he always seems to show up like magic whenever she's feeling down. Isaiah quickly notices she looks sad and playfully stretches her face, asking if something is wrong. Melody tries to say it's nothing, but Isaiah softly reassures her that many people hold her dear, so she should lean on them. He also asks her to wait a little longer because he'll be the greatest knight and promise that no one ever hurts her. He then kneels down and asks if she would like to join his family. Yes! Yes! Melody is about to answer Isaiah's question, but she freezes when she hears a loud crash behind her. To their surprise, they see Mr. Higgins shaking and holding his back. He's trembling as he apologizes and tells Melody that he brought her some lemon tea after hearing she was out walking. But it looks like he slipped. After returning from the concert with Loretta, the Duke learned about Mr. Higgins' condition and immediately hurried over to see him. Meanwhile, Loretta excitedly tells Melody that the sound was really shiny, which makes Melody hug this cutie tightly. Loretta adds that it went pop on the big ceiling, but Melody struggles to understand it fully, which makes Loretta feel sad, and she wishes Melody could have been at the concert too. That night, Mr. Higgins tells Melody to rest because she doesn't look well, but she refuses and insists on being his hands and feet since he got hurt because of her. Then, Mr. Higgins asks if she's considering joining the Mullins family, which confuses her. She quickly realizes he overheard them earlier, so she explains that Isaiah was just joking, and has always been like that since they were kids. She even says she never thought she'd become siblings with Isaiah, which makes Mr. Higgins happy while also feeling sorry for the poor lad. It was a proposal, but whatever, they're too young for that anyway. Melody then shares her hesitation about leaving Loretta, highlighting how much she loves seeing everyone happy at House Baldwin. She smiles at the thought that Loretta never asked her to, but she still wants to bring her happiness, prompting him to share that the Higgins family sees the happiness of House Baldwin as their greatest reward, and what Melody tells him is precisely how they feel. Then Mr. Higgins invites her to join him for an outing the following day. Inside the carriage, Melody hopes they're going somewhere not crowded so she won't attract people's attention. To her surprise, they are on their way to the same concert that the Duke and Loretta attended. As they enter, she is taken aback when the lady welcomes them, addressing Mr. Higgins as Baron. Only then does she realize that since he serves the Duke, he must have a title as well. The lady then leads them to a private room and she sits comfortably on a plush velvet chair. Her eyes widen as the red curtain opens, signaling the opening of the concert. The sound of exquisite music fills the air, and at that moment she understands every word Loretta wants to convey to her. Mr. Higgins then turns to her with a smile on his face and asks if Melody likes the concert, which prompts her to smile sweetly and tell him that everything is wonderful, adding that she can now talk about it with Loretta later. She then shares that Loretta tried to tell her about the concert, but she could not understand her at that time. This leads him to explain that it's because she refuses to go to the concert with Loretta. Then he asks her what she likes to do at House Baldwin, and when he hears her answer, he tells her that she shouldn't be hiding away in the manor like what she's doing now. Today, the Duke presents Melody with a list of people who wish to adopt her, explaining that her new family would help her enter noble society so she would no longer face bullying. However, this also means leaving Baldwin's manor, which she immediately refuses. In the end, though tearfully, she understands this is the Duke's way of caring for her. Outside, Melody runs into Ronnie, who becomes curious about the documents she's holding. Noticing how gloomy she looks the moment he mentions the file, he grows more determined to see it, insisting it's his duty to make sure nothing bad is happening to her. With no choice, Melody hands it over. After scanning the contents, Ronnie beams and congratulates her. He reassures her not to worry even if she ends up in another noble house, promising he will still protect her. Unaware that his words only hurt her, Melody struggles to respond. Wanting to say she prefers staying with the Baldwins, she instead turns and runs off, leaving Ronnie frozen in shock when he sees her in tears. Melody sinks onto her bed in tears. She understands their intentions, but all she can feel is that she's being sent away. What hurts most is the thought of leaving her little ray of sunshine, Loretta. They've been through too much together. Don't separate them now. Then she hears a familiar voice calling her Melody. She quickly runs to the door, only to be met by her little cupcake, immediately hugs her and pats her back soothingly. At Loretta's gentle comfort, Melody bursts into tears in her arms. Once Melody calms down, she thanks Loretta for comforting her. But Loretta quickly corrects her, saying she isn't trying to be thanked. She just wants to make her happy. With a bright smile, she confesses that when she sees Melody smile, it makes her smile too. And that's why she wants her to be super duper happy. Oh, you precious little thing. You're making me happy too. Loretta then rubs her cheek against Melody's, swearing that they will always be together. In response, Melody returns the hug, realizing that Isaiah was right. There really are people who cherish her now. She also comes to understand that the adoption list is so thick because the Duke and Butler Higgins worked hard to make it as detailed as possible for her. Today, Melody and Higgins visit the exhibit together, and just as she's about to tell him something, they're interrupted by a noble who wants to speak with him. He excuses himself for a bit while she feels amazed how people love to talk to him wherever he goes. He claims it's only because he works for the Duke, but she knows it's not the only reason people respect him. But, here comes that father and daughter again, ready to start trouble. The little witch casually points out that since Melody keeps admiring the painting of the yellow field, no one else wants it. Perhaps she should just have the Duke buy it for her. Her father, a literally grown man, scoffs, calling Melody nothing more than unimportant scum unworthy of even a painting. This time, Melody finally speaks up, firmly stating that she is neither unimportant nor scum. Her words clearly wound his pride, and he immediately raises his voice, drawing the attention of everyone around them. Even his daughter tries to remind him to act with dignity, but he ignores her. Instead, he grabs Melody's hair ribbon. Just as he moves to grab her again and force her to bow, Higgins arrives and coldly asks whether his daughter has done anything to cause trouble. Higgins calls out to Melody as Melody Inez Higgins, instructing her to stand up straight and lift her head. She looks surprised at first, but complies. The moment she does, onlookers begin to assume she is Baron Higgins' daughter, and they start looking down on the vassal for bullying a child. With the pressure of their stares upon him, he has no choice but to bow and apologize to Melody. After the commotion calms down, Higgins asks what Melody wanted to tell him earlier. She hesitates, then gathers her courage and says she will try to be a good child and hopes he will allow her to use his last name. She will need Granny's, or shall I say Baroness Higgins' approval, but he smiles since his wife already wants her as their daughter. That's why he called her Inez, the Baroness's maiden name. The old Melody would have thought she was unworthy, but not anymore. Smiling, she says she wants to be loved and happy, earning a relieved chuckle from Higgins. And the painting she liked? He already bought it for her. She's officially a Higgins. Meanwhile, the Duke arrives at the central prison where he is greeted by the magician Pierce, who is set to show him the woman responsible for the previous explosion, referred to as Pieces. When the Duke asks if she's being treated well, Pierce gives a relieved smile, noting that most others simply call her a monster or demon. As they enter, the cry of a baby, the sole survivor of the incident, echoes through the place. Everyone assumes the child is Pieces' daughter, though she continues to deny it. Pierce remains confident the truth will soon be revealed, as Jeremiah will examine the child's memories. Before entering the high-security prison cell, Pierce warns the Duke that the woman is like a bomb without a fuse, only being stabilized by the mages. The Duke is surprised to see her inside, sitting on a magic circle with her hands and feet shackled, her expression suggesting she has long given up. The Duke kneels before her and explains that they are still researching ways to help Pieces, though the cure is not yet complete. He promises he will find a solution. In response, the woman reveals how frightening it was to lose control of her own body and how she never wants to endure it again. Her story strikes the Duke deeply, as he too has been searching for a cure for this cruel illness, wondering if his wife might have lived had they found it in time. So, she is also a Pieces. The Duke urges the woman to keep living, but she reminds him of her harsh reality. She's a ticking time bomb, so how can she live like this and for how long? The Emperor labels Pieces as monsters, and once someone bears that name, their entire family is condemned to lifelong contempt. Knowing there is no future for her, she begs the Duke to let her escape this curse through death. The Duke clenches his fist, but ultimately agrees. The only thing he can do now is ensure she is properly attended to before the execution. When a guard hesitates, a single cold look from the Duke is enough to silence him. As he is about to leave, he brings up the child. The woman immediately denies any connection, and the denial breaks his heart. He understands she is trying to protect the child by cutting ties. Suddenly, the cell is engulfed in green mana, and Jeremiah appears holding the baby. Jeremiah promises to take care of the baby and kneels before the mother, begging her to allow the child at least one beautiful first memory. This baby holding the baby breaks down in tears, seeing his own mother reflected in her. Oh, my heart! The mom finally hugs her son, apologizing and crying, saying how much she loves him. Jeremiah then activates a magician's ritual, binding himself to the child as his guardian and mentor. With a teary smile, he reassures the mother not to worry, and she finally gives a relieved smile. When the day of execution finally arrives, the woman is given a painless poison to drink. Her hands tremble as she holds the vial, until she notices a familiar green mana outside her cell, the same one she saw when she last held her baby. A peaceful smile settles on her face. She drinks it in one go, quietly praying that her son Evan's future will be full of light and blessings. My heart just folded in half. Why are these onion ninjas back? Why? Ronnie organizes a banquet to celebrate Melody's adoption, But the clever kid uses the occasion to his advantage, asking her to cooperate with him and Loretta. He whispers that they meet on the second floor after the adults fall asleep, unaware that Claude overhears the entire plan. That evening, Claude arrives at the meeting spot with his arms crossed, while Ronnie trembles about getting caught. The commotion also wakes up Jeremiah, who senses Ronnie is looking for something on the ceiling because he is carrying this extremely long stick. The gang is now complete, and Jeremiah suggests that Melody should hold the stick and do the tapping, since she is quite special. She follows his instructions, and to their surprise, a real ladder is revealed leading up through the ceiling. They let Ronnie decide what to do next, and for the longest time, he has been determined to discover the missing June records, so he urges they go up, but they are stopped when the Duke appears, claiming to have the truth they seek. Seeing his boys seated together, the Duke smiles, unable to believe how quickly they have grown. After a moment, he decides it is finally time to tell them the truth about their mother being a pieces. The Duke recalls how he first noticed something was wrong with Beatrice after she became pregnant with Jeremiah. Her teacup would shatter without being touched, flower vases would suddenly topple, and even bookshelves would collapse as she passed by. He became certain of her condition when her mana exploded while she was with Jeremiah, whose mana reacted with her unstable vessel. Before continuing, he reassures Jeremiah that none of this is his fault, that his existence is a blessing. The little boy responds with a small, smiling yes. Continuing his story, the Duke explains that because pieces can cause danger to those around them, Beatrice chose to distance herself from them. Despite his efforts to stop her, he ultimately had no choice but to let her go. She later hid in a remote place and never told him she was carrying Loretta until he received news of the tragic carriage accident. When Claude asks why their mother tried to travel to the capital, the Duke explains that there had been a period when her magic stabilized, so she likely believed it was safe enough to see them again, even briefly. The Duke hopes they will think proudly of their mother, and to his surprise, all of the boys proudly state that they are indeed proud of her. They also don't blame him for telling the truth, which makes him feel warm inside as he thanks them. The truth is finally out, but there is still one thing they do not know, something only Melody knows from having read the novel. Revealing it might make the Duke think she's insane, but things are different now. She is a Higgins. House Higgins has served House Baldwin for generations, contributing so greatly that they were eventually recognized as a great house by the Emperor himself. Yet they never sought glory, choosing instead to remain devoted as House Baldwin's shadow. Melody sits down for a serious talk with the Duke, who reassures her that she can speak freely. In response, she reveals that she has known everything from the very beginning. To prove it, she retells information no one knows. When Beatrice's mana went out of control in Jeremiah's room, the Duke did not call a doctor and instead treated his wife himself. Shortly after, the Duchess left him with a letter asking him not to search for her, and he kept that promise, though he later regretted it. The Duke is shocked that she knows such details, and Melody explains that she has read records about Loretta, which are also like prophecies. Since she's speaking as a Higgins, the Duke takes her word seriously. Then she gets serious and drops the truth. Loretta is also a pieces. The Duke is shaken, but Melody says she'll do whatever it takes to protect Loretta. That calms him down, and he promises he'll protect Melody too. After that, Melody begins sharing these strange records, like how a vassal will appear on Loretta's 7th birthday and other future events. At this point, all the Duke can do is wait and see whether the future she described will actually unfold as she said. Years have passed, and oh my, Melody, my darling, has grown into a beautiful 17-year-old young lady now. That's quite the time skip. Butler Higgins, her dad I mean, can't help but worry that she's been pushing herself too hard lately. But all of this hard work has a reason. Tomorrow is the first Imperial record exam in 22 years, so all he can do is root for his daughter. She goes to the library to study but can't reach a book, so Isaiah, now 22, more manly and handsome, helps her get it. A year ago, he earned recognition after taking down a bear alone when the Crown Prince and Ronnie were trapped in old snares, which led to his promotion as a knight. Melody remains puzzled because Isaiah originally wished to serve the Imperial family, yet he unexpectedly pledges loyalty to House Baldwin instead. I know why. See him now becoming red as he asks her to be her banquet partner, but whoopsie, Mama Higgins says no, and the poor boy gets wax from her. Ronnie is now 17, and wow, he's become quite charming. He's still a tsundere, though. Just look at him blushing as he tells Melody that he'll be mad if she doesn't pass her test. While still flustered, he mentions that he's here to pick her up because Jeremiah is waiting for her. I know, you all are excited to see Loretta. And here she is, still as adorable as ever. However, our 11-year-old baby seems to be a bit pouty about how tough life has gotten. Me too, darling. Me too. She truly hopes she can help Melody take a break since she's been so busy with the recruitment exam, leaving them with little time to spend together. Grumpy little Jeremiah is now 16, and I just love how everyone has grown up so well and beautifully. He is here to conduct an experiment on Melody because he truly believes she is special. So today, they have agreed that he will insert some mana into her and observe how her body reacts. However, he notices she looks overworked, so he decides to cast a recovery spell first. But for some reason, holding hands with him makes our girl feel a bit shy. She then starts to doze off and ends up resting her head on his shoulder, making him all flustered. Ronnie enters the room, shocked to see them, but calms down when Jeremiah explains he only cast a recovery spell. When he hears Melody won't wake up for 2 days, he panics since her test is tomorrow. Jeremiah then drops the solution. Someone who loves her must kiss her to wake her up. We really missed the obvious foreshadowing. Her Snow White dress. Jeremiah is so nonchalant about this, while Ronnie is so flustered and starts shouting that Loretta overhears them, making her curious about what's going on. Jeremiah then decides to go to the library to find another solution, leaving Ronnie to take care of Melody. Worried Melody will miss her exam after all her hard work, Ronnie finally works up the nerve to kiss her awake when Loretta bursts into the room and scares the life out of him. Someone call the doctor! Loretta then learns that Melody fell asleep after Jeremiah cast a recovery spell on her, prompting her to recall the tale of the princess who ate the apple. She leans in quickly to kiss Melody, catching Ronnie off guard. However, Melody truly awakens, leaving Ronnie even more shocked. I knew Loretta would save the day, and poor Ronnie! The following day, Loretta wishes Melody good luck on her exam, while Ronnie inquires if she truly feels okay. In response, Melody shares that she feels refreshed after sleeping soundly, all thanks to Jeremiah. Mr. Higgins then gives her a watch, passed down from his grandfather, which he believes will be helpful for her. And Mrs. Higgins even puts a ribbon on it, making her delighted. With that, she sets off to take her exam. Melody eventually gets to the Imperial Palace examination hall and feels as if all eyes are on her, when a 24-year-old red-haired man named Stuart Middleton approaches her and asks whether she will be okay without a helper, which confuses her. He then explains that she can actually take the exam with a servant, as the Imperial Record Officer's examination is extremely difficult and covers so many topics that it is nearly impossible to write answers while looking up information on your own. In the examination room, the officer informs all students that the exam is divided into 3 phases, with the first stage consisting of 20 essay questions. Melody feels she may be at a slight disadvantage over the other candidates who have helpers, but complaining won't change anything, so she decides to give it her very best. After the exam, everyone is told the results will be announced soon. Stuart talks to Melody, lightly commenting on how hard it must be without a servant, and speaking as if she likely failed. He then asks for her name, but just as he's about to react to hearing Higgins, the announcement comes that the exams have already been graded. The officer begins calling them one by one, including Melody, and says that anyone whose name wasn't called can leave and go home, which frustrates Stuart, prompting him to inquire about the qualifications, but they won't disclose it. Stuart turns to Melody and says that because she belongs to House Higgins, which is loyal to Duke Baldwin, her life must be easy. Every exam should be a breeze for her to pass. He thinks our girl cheated? What an insecure loser! Melody quietly clutches her watch, trying to reassure herself she'll be fine. For the second test, they're told to write about the hawk statue at the south gate, but she starts panicking, realizing she never even saw it. With no other choice, she writes, "I didn't see the statue," and braces herself for failure, only to be shocked when she actually passes the round. For the final task, they're led to different libraries and told to keep everything in order until the next morning. When Melody is handed the key to a library holding the Empire's history, she feels deeply honored and thanks the officer sincerely, earning a warm smile from the elderly officer. The moment she steps inside, Melody is instantly enchanted by the smell of old books. But the more she sniffs, the more she sneezes because the room is so dusty. Then she gets a creepy feeling, immediately blaming Claude for all those ghost stories about the Imperial Palace he told her. When someone suddenly pats her, she lets out a scream, only to find it's Claude himself. "I've seen you grown well too, but easy with the waist-holding, mister." Melody, flustered, immediately backs away, causing Claude to apologize and explain that he was merely supporting her to avoid falling. Anyway, he's here because the other candidates brought someone from their houses, and she doesn't have anyone, so he's here to help. She still can't figure out what he's thinking, and I have to say, he's really out here flexing how buff he's gotten in that suit. But on a more serious note, Melody finds it odd that Claude is in a full suit despite the heat, until she remembers she once told him he looked charming all dressed up. Without any hesitation, she asks if he likes her, catching him off guard, but he smiles and admits he does. However, Melody flatly rejects him, thinking about all the bullying she received from him since she was young, which makes him laugh as he admits that he regrets doing so. They're really casual about it. Back to the test, Melody notices the books are disorganized and some have been damaged by spilled tea. She quickly realizes the task is to sort the shelves and recreate the ruined records. Claude offers to help, but she firmly tells him just to stay put and do nothing, which only makes him smile. Clearly pleased she wants him there, leaving her frustrated. If you continue to tease her like that, she will not take you seriously. But I will. Wait, what? Melody finishes quicker than expected, and she admits that it's all due to Claude's early training/bullying. When she turns to see what he's doing, she notices he's looking for Loretta-related stuff. Yes, he is aware of the records because the Duke informed him of them when he came of age. Claude has been tracking August, the novel's male lead, who is supposed to save Loretta from her tragic fate. So far, he has discovered that the Emperor's half-brother, Samuel, is banned from marrying. The former Empress, Samuel's mother, wanted Samuel to ascend to the throne, so she joined forces with her father, Count Grimes, and sent Samuel to Grimes County, knowing he would not participate. In the end, their assassination attempt on the Emperor failed, and both Count Grimes and the previous Empress were beheaded, while Samuel should have received the same fate, but he pleaded with the Emperor to convince him that he was not involved. Because the Emperor loved his brother, his punishment was to be sent to Christiansund in the north, where he was forbidden to interact with anyone, which means he could not marry. Samuel eventually fell in love with a maid and had a child, though in this timeline, the Emperor is still unaware that August exists. In the novel, as soon as the Emperor learns of August's existence, he takes the child, ensuring that he will live in complete silence after forcing him to see how he executed his father. Trapped in the palace, August will run into Loretta, who will rescue him from his situation. Melody doesn't know what year the Emperor will learn about August, so she's desperate to find the child before he does. Morning arrives and the test concludes, with results set to be released before winter. Inside the carriage, Melody is still confused about how the exam was graded, prompting Claude to explain that the first test evaluates handwriting, which is an essential skill for a record officer, while the second assesses honesty. Finally, Melody and Loretta get a chance to chat, and Loretta is annoyed that Claude followed Melody without telling her. When Melody casually mentions that Claude said he likes her, Loretta instantly panics. Melody adds that she told him she dislikes him, assuming it was just another tease, which makes Loretta quietly wipe her sweat in relief, hoping Melody stays oblivious forever. Even Loretta knows! During a banquet, Ronnie and Isaiah overhear Stuart babbling about how the test was cooked because House Higgins used a dirty trick. As soon as Stuart calls Melody an ugly, wicked wench, our boys grab him by the neck and furiously challenge him to a duel. In the end, Ronnie and Isaiah are both kneeling as Melody scolds them for starting a fight. Yet they still manage to secretly fist bump each other like they pulled off a successful team effort. When she asks what the argument was about, they refuse to answer, until she puts on a sad face and instantly sends them into panic. They're so cute. They then slipped, stating they're scared she'll be upset, which leads her to believe the fight was about her, which makes her even angrier, causing them to shiver in fear and eventually tell her the truth. She's slowly starting to turn into Mama Higgins. Melody goes to see the Duke to complain that Claude won't share any of his findings with her, and to insist that she can help without drawing the Emperor's attention. In response, the Duke reveals that Claude has already located the maid, but she has been found hanged. It may have been punishment for fleeing her duties, or in the worst case, the Emperor had already intervened. Claude kept his discoveries to himself because he is monitoring the Emperor's movements for now. Any careless action could place House Baldwin under suspicion. Meanwhile, a naughty little girl has slipped out of the mansion, upset that her brothers and Melody are allowed to visit the magic tower while she isn't. The poor coachman is practically in tears after getting dragged into Loretta's escape plan, while she calmly pats his back. Sorry, but he needs to be fired. Back at the mansion, the maids are pleading for Melody's help because Claude has not left his room in days. She decides to try it out by knocking on his door, and to her surprise, he instantly allows her to enter. She is shocked by how many Sudoku papers are scattered around and how gloomy Claude appears in his bed, leading her to conclude that he must be anxious. They restrict Loretta from entering the magic tower for fear of being exposed to mana, but they know this is only a temporary solution, so Claude must be desperately looking for August. Melody, however, cannot let him rot in his room, so she opens the curtains and cheerfully tells him to get up. Claude suddenly looks more alive, then dramatically collapses, making her rush over while he uses the chance to hold her hand and requests she watch over him so he can sleep without worry. After some time, Claude finally speaks up, saying he needs more leads, and asks her to go over the records again. Melody recounts how, in the record, Loretta attended an imperial banquet at 13, got lost, and met a beautiful pink-haired boy named August. They became friends without revealing their identities, and over time, August gradually opened up to her. Claude dryly remarks that it sounds like the beginning of a romance novel. Claude, I want to hold your hand when I tell you this. Anyway, he finds it odd. If Lord Samuel was supposed to be hiding August, how were the kids able to share such happy memories? He then abruptly decides they should travel, and in the blink of an eye, ta-da! They arrive in Christensen. For their stay, the Briggs Guild will be assisting them, and Claude is quite pleased about it, though Melody looks like her soul has already left her body. In Claude's defense, he argues that House Baldwin and House Higgins must remain together at all times, but Melody, clearly the one dragged along for the ride, is far from happy. She rambles in protest, insisting she's only 17, and her strict parents would never allow her to be in Christensen during a summer festival, especially with a man. Claude only laughs and tells her it's too late to regret it now. He adds that he suspects the father and son will attend the summer festival anyway, since wearing masks would let them blend in without raising suspicion. Returning to our sneaky little girl, she wanders around the tower until she encounters this strange magician named Miguel, who wants to use her as his subject. He asks her to hold his crystal ball, and when Loretta refuses, he excitedly takes her hand. But thankfully, Evan, this shy-looking lad, arrives to take Gramps' crystal ball. No way! This is him now? He's adorable! When Evan explains that Loretta is his master's sister, Miguel gets scared since it turns out our genius, Jeremiah, will be the future master of the magic tower. Loretta hugs Evan and thanks him as soon as Gramps leaves, causing him to get so shy. Ooh, so who is the male lead for Loretta? Evan? Or that August we have yet to meet? I'm excited! Meanwhile, in Christensen, Melody is dressed in a beautiful gown, but she is so shy about how short it is that when Claude knocks to pick her up, she awkwardly wraps a towel around her waist. She even imagines him in something equally revealing, only to be shocked when he shows up with his hair tied back, dressed neatly in a butler outfit. He looks so smexy. He insists that reversing the master-servant relationship will be fun, and that she's free to boss him around or even get her revenge. The idea clearly tempts her more than she wants to admit. They're finally ready to head out, but the moment Melody removes the towel, Claude gets visibly flustered seeing her dress. She happily explains that the guild gave it to her, even down to custom-made shoes engraved with her name. Claude turns away, blushing, and starts muttering nonsense before sighing at how easily she gets to him. Blushing Claude is the best. They arrive at the festival, heading straight to the children's activity area in search of August. Suddenly, a child bumps into Melody and quickly apologizes, before rushing off towards the bridge. Apparently, there's a tradition that if you hold your breath while crossing the bridge during the festival, your wish will come true. Melody is worn out because it has been 5 days and they still haven't found the child. So Claude, her devoted servant, places a hot pack on her back and even uses a massage hammer on her feet. These two are already way too comfortable with each other. Honestly, they might as well just get married already. The next morning, Melody wakes up early to look around and spots the boy from yesterday being bullied. She immediately steps in, and her Mama Higgins energy comes out so strongly that the kids run off in fear. When the boy thanks her, she notices his pink hair and realizes he's been disguising it with grime. She found August. The boy panics seeing his shoe fall onto a rock in the river. It was a precious gift from his father. Without hesitation, Melody decides to retrieve it. She regrets not taking off her own shoes, but presses on and manages to grab it anyway, only to slip. Thankfully, Claude catches her just in time, though he doesn't look very pleased about it. The boy thanks Melody for getting his shoe back, but feels guilty that she ended up losing hers because of it. Claude quietly lets her wear his shoe instead. Aw, look how Claude let our girl wear his shoe! Soon after, the boy's grandmother arrives in a panic and is apologetic for all the trouble. Before they part ways, the boy introduces himself as August, leaving Melody smiling as she hopes to see him again someday. When they return to the Briggs Manor, Claude immediately tends to Melody's injury while gently scolding her for putting herself at risk earlier. In response, she shares that Isaiah once retrieved her shoe for her before. She only wants to do what Isaiah did for her because it was so comforting back then, making Claude wish he could turn back time and be the one to help her like that. He ends up slumping by her knees, saying that the Melody version he met already has plenty of shoes, so he plans to buy more because she deserves to be happier. The subtle jealousy of this man is so adorable. While watching the heavy rain outside, Melody worries about August and wants to help him, but knows that rushing in could put him in danger. Suddenly, August's grandmother arrives at the manor in a panic, saying that August has disappeared. They quickly search and find August in the river, clinging to a rock as the water rises. Claude rescues him and notices he's holding Melody's missing shoe, realizing the boy went back for it. Once they're safe, a blue-haired man arrives and Claude recognizes him as Lord Samuel, so he lets him take August. Back at Briggs Manor, Claude mentions that Lord Samuel must have recognized them and will likely reach out soon. Melody, however, can't bring herself to celebrate. She's still upset that he carelessly jumped into the river. To Claude's surprise, she suddenly hugs him, unable to hide how worried she was. He returns the hug, softly apologizing and promising he won't do something like that again. This is not a drill. He's the guy! They stay like that for a moment, with Melody able to clearly hear Claude's heartbeat and steady breathing as the silence stretches on, almost as if she doesn't want to let go. But the second the butler enters the room to serve them tea, she panics and pushes Claude straight to the floor, completely shattering the moment and leaving him so heartbroken. When they arrive back at Baldwin Manor, Melody is excited to finally give Mama Higgins the cream she bought and heads straight to the kitchen to see her. However, Mama Higgins suddenly tells her not to come in, startling her so much that she drops the cream on her foot. Instead of approaching her, Mama Higgins simply orders the maids to take Melody to her room and tend to her injury. It's then that Melody realizes that the first and final letter she gave her mother was, "I will go on a trip to Christiansand with Claude," and nothing else. Darling, be thankful you got the silent treatment. My mom would have chosen violence. Loretta has been quietly visiting the magic tower and has grown closer to Evan during her secret trips. Right now, they're playing hide and seek, but she keeps finding him almost immediately, which leaves him puzzled. She leans in and explains it's because he smells like grass, old books, and other comforting things. When she realizes the little boy is blushing from how close she is, she quickly steps back and blushes too. My Little Pumpkin blushing? I'm not ready. Kids, let the grown-ups have their romance first. Anyway, when Melody goes to see her mother, she's surprised when Mama Higgins speaks first. She tells her there's no need to apologize, saying she already understands why Melody didn't ask her permission directly. It was because she feared she might get angry and forbid her from leaving. When Mama Higgins apologizes and says Melody deserves a warmer, more affectionate mother, Melody suddenly realizes she may have hurt her feelings. Since the adoption, Mama Higgins has become noticeably gentler, even cutting her hair so she wouldn't look too old beside her daughter, and the thought makes Melody feel guilty about how she treated her. She quickly rushes over to embrace her mom, apologizing and telling her how much she loves her. She admits she was afraid Mama Higgins would hate her for what she did, but Mama Higgins gently cups her face and reassures her with warmth that no matter how mischievous she may be, she could never hate her. This is so heartwarming. However, their tender mother-daughter moment is suddenly interrupted when the maids rush in, announcing that Stuart Middleton has sent Melody a marriage proposal. The audacity! Today, Melody, Loretta, Ronnie, and Isaiah are enjoying some snacks together when Melody asks Loretta if she's found any interesting books at the downtown library lately, considering she's been going there every day. Our little rascal immediately avoids eye contact because, well, the library is just her excuse for sneaking off to the magic tower. She quickly changes the topic and asks whether Mama Higgins scolded Melody after practically turning into a roaring dragon yesterday. This prompts Melody to reveal that her mother was furious because someone sent her a marriage proposal. Loretta nervously asks if it's her, and yep, she's candidate number 1. Meanwhile, Isaiah and Ronnie are quietly panicking in the background because they thought Melody was talking about them too. Looks like all 3 of them want Melody's hand. A few days later, Mama Higgins reminds Melody that she absolutely will not allow this marriage. Melody reassures her that she's only agreeing to meet Stuart because it's proper etiquette to meet a suitor at least 3 times before rejecting a proposal. Meanwhile, Isaiah and Ronnie are hiding in the bushes, eagerly waiting to see who had the audacity to propose to Melody. The moment they spot Stuart's carriage and realize it's that carrot head guy, both boys instantly lose their cool and grab him by the collar. These 2 are seriously the best! Stuart arrives with his suit completely crumpled after his encounter with Isaiah and Ronnie. Once he sits down with Melody, he immediately explains that he only sent the proposal because of his father's orders and has no intention of marrying her. Excuse me, I don't want you marrying our girl either, but what's wrong with Melody? Melody explains that she didn't reject the proposal immediately because she was unaware it was from him, as he never revealed his name. As she apologizes for the boy's behavior, Stuart recalls how furious Ronnie was and how little he cared about social status when defending her. That's when it suddenly hits him. Ronnie has feelings for Melody. Stuart is ordered to build ties with House Higgins as punishment for failing the exam and bringing shame to his family. However, he thinks it won't work, so he stands up to leave and tries to apologize for his rude behavior during the test, but gets too shy and can't say it properly. Instead, he just turns away, blushing, and awkwardly says, "See you later." Is it just me, or is he starting to look kinda cute? Outside Ronnie's room, Melody encounters Claude, who explains that Ronnie is still upset after Mrs. Higgins punished him. When Melody asks to talk to him, Claude suggests she try next time since Ronnie isn't in the best mood right now. Today, Melody is walking through the hallway thinking of giving Ronnie a painting to cheer him up when she suddenly spots him on the staircase. The moment they make eye contact, he immediately bolts upstairs. She tries to follow but ends up tripping. Ronnie quickly rushes back down, checking her foot in concern, but freezes when he realizes she's sitting awkwardly on the stairs. Melody points it out shyly, and he gets flustered and apologizes. She can't help but laugh, reminding him that it's nothing new. They used to see each other like this all the time when they were kids wearing shorts. She then turns serious, thanking Ronnie for getting angry at Stuart on her behalf. With a soft smile, she tells him that if he ever has a problem, he should share it with her instead of shutting himself in his room. She reminds him that she's a Higgins, so his problems are her problems too, and that she wants to get angry for him the same way he does for her. Hearing this, Ronnie gets red, and as he watches her go, he realizes he would have been angry even if Melody wasn't a Higgins. And that thought confuses him. Then, he finally admits it to himself. He likes Melody. This is going to be complicated, isn't it? That evening, while heading to her room, Melody notices the Duke's office still lit up. When she steps in to check, she finds Claude with what appears to be blood on him. Panicked, she quickly rushes over, only to realize it's just from his freshly pierced ears. He explains that the artisans of the duchy gave him the piercings, and he's wearing them to help promote their craft. Feeling both relieved and a bit amused, Melody offers to pierce his other ear for him. After she finishes, she goes to get him some painkillers, but he gently holds her back and asks her to stay with him a little longer. Meanwhile, Ronnie can't sleep. His thoughts stuck on Melody. He decides he'll tell her the next day that he wasn't angry at Stuart just because she's a Higgins. As he walks by, he notices his father's office door is still open, so he peeks inside and his eyes immediately widen. There, he sees Melody hugging Claude. Just when he finally begins to understand his feelings. Why does it feel like he's the one always getting hurt? Anyone walking in would definitely get the wrong idea, like, why is she sitting on his lap and why is he holding her like that? Well, it appears that Melody just got startled when the candle suddenly went out. But Claude doesn't really have an excuse, so he awkwardly apologizes for hugging her. They both turn toward the door when they sense something, brushing it off as just the wind, completely unaware that it was actually my poor Ronnie running away. The next day, Melody notices Ronnie in the library reading a romance novel, which makes him feel ashamed. But when he sees her thrilled to recommend another novel, he chuckles because he has already read it. She cheerfully says it's one of her favorites, and when she asks if he likes it too, his lips quiver and his cheeks turn red. He almost blurts out that he likes her, but stops himself halfway. Instead, he looks away and quickly shifts the conversation, asking why she's there when she's supposed to be meeting Stuart. I mean, it's not really a date. They only have to meet 3 times, but Ronnie can't help but be upset and wonder why she's worried about someone who was mean to her. Melody then explains that she believes Stuart only wants to apologize. Holding Ronnie's hand, she adds that admitting fault and saying sorry takes real courage, which is why she can't turn it down. Suddenly, Claude appears, and Ronnie notices Melody's hand slowly slipping away from his. Without thinking, he quickly holds onto it again. Then he pulls Melody along and excuses themselves, leaving Claude kinda taken aback. I hate this. I don't want any of the brothers to get hurt. Melody is completely confused about where Ronnie is taking her, which makes him scramble for an excuse and ends up saying that, as a brave person, he is going to apologize to Stuart. Speaking of Mr. Carrot Head, he is currently losing badly in a poker game. Although he feels humiliated, he is ready to just walk away and quit, but to his surprise, Melody shows up and tells him to place another bet. Ronnie even backs her up, saying Melody never loses at games of chance. Trusting her, Stuart hesitantly goes all in and bets all his chips. After Stuart wins the game of his life, they head out, and he can't stop praising how incredible Melody is. Eventually, the two of them get to what they originally came for. A little shy, Ronnie apologizes to Stuart for acting aggressively before, which catches Stuart off guard and makes him feel embarrassed that Ronnie acts more mature than him. Stuart then properly bows and sincerely apologizes for being a nuisance, and they both accept it. With things settled, Stuart shares that the reason the Imperial Record exam results take so long is because they carefully review whether each applicant is truly qualified for the position. He also warns Melody to avoid doing anything suspicious for now, since she might already be under someone's watch. Loretta is the first to welcome them when they return home, excitedly sharing the good news that she received a letter saying Mr. Higgins and her father will be coming back soon. Melody playfully squishes the little girl in a hug and asks if she wants to have snack time together the next day, but Loretta politely declines, saying she has to go to the library, aka the Magic Tower. The next day, just as Loretta reaches for Evan's door, it suddenly swings open so quickly that they both tumble to the ground. Evan immediately sees that Loretta's knee is bleeding, and he panics. For a moment, he doesn't know what to do, whether to rush for the first aid kit or try using a healing spell instead. Loretta simply gets back on her feet and explains why she came. She's here to say goodbye, since she won't be able to visit as often now that her father has returned. Evan looks pretty disappointed, but he doesn't say it outright. Instead, he just mutters that magician Miguel will definitely be disappointed. Apparently, Loretta's been helping the old man with his experiments, and in return, he keeps her visits a secret. Oh my, she keeps getting exposed to magic! Then Loretta asks if Evan isn't sad. That gets him flustered, and he admits he might not be able to sleep, eat, or even focus on his magic if she stops coming around. She gently takes his hand and asks him to use a healing spell on her, but he immediately refuses, saying his magic is part of him and it might linger on her if he casts it. Loretta, however, thinks it would actually be nice, because every time she hears her heartbeat, she'll be reminded that his magic is still with her. That finally convinces him, and he lets his beautiful green mana flow out, something she can't help but find really pretty. After Loretta leaves, Evan finally lets out all the tension he's been holding in and ends up blushing hard because he really likes her. I think these kids are adorable together, but goodness gracious, see that? The window of Loretta's carriage cracks! She is starting to get unstable. Meanwhile, back at the Baldwin Manor, Melody tells Claude she's been worried about someone possibly following her. Claude reassures her that she doesn't need to worry because he's already made sure they're safe. He then invites her to his room to chat, but she quickly declines and excuses herself, which leaves him feeling a bit guilty, thinking his move the other night might have scared her off. As soon as the Duke returns, he confronts Claude about taking Melody to Christensen and how it puts her safety at risk. He can tell that Claude relied on his authority and on Melody's sense of duty as a member of the Higgins family to make the trip happen. Claude, fully aware of this, apologizes immediately, accepting that he was in the wrong. The Baldwin and Higgins families have upheld a master-servant relationship for generations, and for the first time, Claude truly feels the weight of that history. As the Baldwin successor, he's forced to accept the painful reality that he can't afford to get too close to Melody. The palace is now celebrating magician Owen's newest creation, developed alongside his gifted pupils, including Jeremiah and baby Evan, the Magic Stone. It is said to allow access to infinite magical power, a discovery that could pave the way for a new era for their nation. Melody overhears the group of ladies gushing about Jeremiah and can't help but feel super proud. Soon after, a silver-haired woman named Selena Hatfield and the others approach her to chat about the handsome third young lord of House Baldwin. Selena then brings up Stuart's marriage proposal, leaving Melody shocked. When they excitedly assume her heart must have fluttered, Melody suddenly recalls that night with Claude, especially how he blushed and said she was so cute he didn't know what to do. Flustered, she quickly drinks her orange juice and firmly says she will not accept Stuart's proposal. One lady then wonders if it's because of Ronnie, since she saw them together at the social club. Selena immediately shuts it down and tells her to apologize, calling it an insult to the beautiful master-servant relationship between House Baldwin and House Higgins. Thinking back to that, Melody suddenly freezes until Claude appears and asks her for a dance. It's actually his first time hearing about Stuart's proposal, and he notices how she casually calls him Stu, which makes him wonder if Stuart is allowed to call her Mel, too. She quickly clarifies that only Isaiah uses her nickname, which sparks a hint of jealousy in Claude. Before she can even ask what's wrong, he smoothly pulls her into a twirl, catching everyone's attention as the crowd watches them in awe. Jeremiah visits the Baldwin Manor today to have Claude sign the contract for the land he'll be using. Claude signs it without even reading, which makes Jeremiah immediately remind him not to sign documents without checking the contents first. Claude agrees, but says he simply trusts him, which unexpectedly makes Lil Bro kind of flustered. Jeremiah then asks Claude to visit the site with Melody, since she always makes interesting choices and could give valuable feedback for his research. He has said this before, and I notice Melody always wins bets. Is it some type of power? The place turns out to be farmland where Jeremiah studies how to cultivate medicinal herbs. When Claude casually mentions that he even helped Jeremiah plant them, Melody is surprised. She never imagined him doing anything outside of desk work. That immediately makes him defensive, insisting he's not a nerd, and reminding her he even scored the highest in swordsmanship back in the academy. And he's not exaggerating. 6 years ago, when he was just 15, He was already skilled enough to win duels effortlessly. The other students were impressed, but they also noticed something odd. Although Claude was always kind and gentle, he felt strangely distant and hard to approach. As the eldest son of the Empire's most prestigious house, Claude can't afford to let his guard down. He has to stay cautious of everyone around him, but at the same time, he can't completely push people away either. Living like that has made his world feel somewhat empty and colorless over time. When Claude first went home and met Loretta, he assumed she would look like their father since his brothers took after him. But the moment he saw her, everything changed. It was like his world suddenly gained color, especially yellow, because she looked so much like their mother. He was genuinely taken aback by how similar she was to her, and in that instant, he decided he would cherish her more than anything. However, Loretta already had someone she deeply treasured, Melody. To Claude, that made Melody seem like a rival, which is why he initially kept Melody close, not wanting her to be with Loretta always. We all know what happened next. The more time he spent around Melody, the more she caught his attention. The real turning point came when she came of age and he saw her in a beautiful dress. So stunning that beautiful didn't even feel like enough. So he looks at her and says she is absolutely dazzling. I'm obsessed with her outfits. Huge kudos to the artist. They attend the Hatfield banquet, and while Claude is chatting with Selena, he notices Melody glowing as she speaks with another man. When he asks who it is, Selena tells him the man is Christian Carver, who was recently knighted, though she admits she actually expected him to become a record officer instead. Hearing this, Claude politely excuses himself and walks over to Melody. Selena briefly gets excited at the thought that Claude might be jealous, but quickly dismisses it as rude to assume. Still, when she looks again, she sees Claude subtly trying to make Christian back off. If that isn't jealousy, then what is? Now that she's caught on to this little scoop, she decides to help and make sure no unnecessary rumors about them get published. I expected Selena to be your typical witch, but she's actually really nice. Today, Claude and Melody head to the farmhouse to tie and hang herbs as instructed by Jeremiah. While working, Melody notices her hand smells really nice from the herbs and accidentally asks Claude if he wants to check too, instantly turning red after realizing what she said. To her surprise, Claude tells her to pull away if she's uncomfortable, then gently takes her wrist, smells her hand, and even kisses it. Our girl gets so flustered she ends up sitting on the window table while Claude gently guides her hand to cup his face and softly asks if she's all right. Without thinking, she says she's okay with anything. I can feel the tension through the screen. If you guys are calm right now, how? I'm screaming. This prompts him to kiss her hand again and call her brave before he gently rests his head on her shoulder, revealing he's actually scared because he's a Baldwin and she's a Higgins. With a conflicted expression, he says that if she permits it, he would want more, because his heart belongs to Melody, not Miss Higgins. However, his trembling voice steadies her racing heart. She pulls her hand back and says that the only thing they can have between them is loyalty. She can't believe she forgot her parents and her promise to make them proud by honoring the name she carries. They stay there, listening to the rain pouring down, both silently hurting. Never thought being a Higgins would become both a blessing and a curse. That evening, Melody's gifts from Christensen finally arrive, but she's confused to find a pair of heels she doesn't remember buying. They look identical to the ones from the Briggs Guild until she notices something unusual. Thinking it might be important, she rushes to Claude's room to show him, but as soon as she steps in, Claude struggles to even meet her eyes because she's only in a thin undergarment, and it's taking everything in him not to react. Melody changes her outfit and apologizes to Claude, and their talk becomes serious when she mentions that the shoes she received do not have the Briggs label, which is strange as they were custom made for her. So how come someone else sent her the exact same design? Claude then mentions that August actually went to retrieve her lost shoe from the river and still has it, meaning the real sender could be Lord Samuel. Melody brightens at the idea, thinking Samuel must have left a clue on the order form. The next day, they visit the shop and discover that someone named Samantha placed the order, clearly the female version of Samuel's name. With that lead, they realize the next step is to visit the address listed on the form to find this Samantha. However, They'll need to inform the Duke first, and Melody asks if she could be the one to tell him personally. Melody waits in the Duke's office with Loretta asleep on her lap. When the Duke arrives, she immediately shares what they've discovered about Lord Samuel. She then expresses that she came to Baldwin Manor to protect Loretta, but with a sad smile admits she can no longer do anything more. Unlike Claude, she isn't skilled at uncovering information, and she worries they could be accused of treason if they act without caution. She bows deeply and sincerely asks the Duke to meet Lord Samuel and secure Augustus' safety. The Duke kneels before her, praising all she has done and assuring her that she has done more than enough. He promises to take over from here and do everything in his power to save Loretta. Please. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!